Hey, I think I finally timed that right. What's up, everybody?
Nice.
It's Wednesday night, so you know what that means. Shitty movie night.
Movie review.
Shitty movie review. Not just any movie review. Because
What is that sticker you made say?
This
Warning.
This one
Viewer-
wasn't super shitty.
viewer advisory.
Oh, yeah. Viewer advisory. Bad movie.
All right. Han. All right. What did you just say right there, Han? Like, it wasn't shitty? I don't know,
No,
man.
I said it. I said it wasn't super shitty. I didn't say it wasn't shitty. I said it wasn't super shitty.
Not super shitty. But, all right, before we go into the gist of everything, Darius, my co-host here.
Hey, what's going on?
Thank you for joining me for our viewing of The Exterminator, 1980s movie, vigilante. I guess we could throw in some crime drama and Vietnam flashback.
Yeah. Well, I thought this was going to be a somewhat different type of movie. It ended up being more familiar, drawing on more familiar tropes from other movies that I've seen. Movies that predated.
And not the Terminator, the Exterminator.
The Exterminator, right. Which came out before the Terminator.
But thank you for joining us. Me, Raquel.
Mm-hmm.
I think Raquel had a little bit of a rough time with this movie.
I think just a few, a couple, 2 or 3 parts of it. I think were kind of rough for Raquel.
Yeah, those were pretty graphic, but yeah, I'm fine. I'm good.
Okay. And again, I
There's no
apologize.
spiders in this one.
Yeah, no spiders.
Yeah, thank goodness for that.
This is the first time I got you to come on these shitty movie review streams. So
I'm glad to be here,
coming here. I had a lot of fun talking.
even if it's a shitty movie. I'm glad
Yeah.
to be here and
Yeah,
hang
but
out with
you're-
friends and watch an old movie.
You're always fun to review movies with when we were doing the streams on JJ's channel.
Well, I appreciate that.
Carol's cookies, if she's not
I'm here.
Okay, she's here. And she got through the movie with us. She was having some aquatic issues in her house.
Yeah, it's temporarily fixed.
She has
Okay.
floaties on right now, like little kids wear floaties. She has floaties on and swim goggles.
You put sprayed a can of Flex Seal on the problem or something.
Yeah, sure, something like that.
The water's only knee deep so far. So it's not a serious problem yet.
Indoor swimming pool, yeah.
You got your floaties. You get your floaties on and everything.
I got my floaties, my snorkel. I'm good.
All right. And Moira, she watched the movie with us. Some of it.
If she's back. I
Are
don't
you
think
back,
she's
Moira?
back.
You never really know when Moira's here.
Oh, you know. I was saying hello, Moira.
Hello, everybody.
Greeting, Moira.
Good evening, darling.
Thank you for joining us for this Wednesday night shitty movie.
It's always great to be with y'all. I feel warm and fuzzy and thought of.
So
Everybody wants to want it.
so what the fuck did we just watch, everybody?
I'm not entirely sure. A guy
Because-
wakes out, makes his own bullets, and starts taking motherfuckers out.
The movie poster the movie poster is very deceptive.
Yeah, so a lot
I
of times
agree.
people spend more money on the poster than they will the movie.
I agree. It's very deceptive. I agree.
The Exterminator, 1980 on the button, 80 vigilante movie. What's his name again, Darius? Michael Ginty?
Robert Ginty.
Robert Ginty, okay. Who is, from what I looked at the guy, He's half Rutger Hauer, half Christopher Walken. From how he looks.
I mean, possibly.
Yeah, but to me, his hair looked like half Luke Skywalker, half Han Solo.
Yeah. A little bit of Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
But no one here had heard of this movie before at all, right?
Right.
Never heard of it. Yeah, never heard of it. I would have been like 1 when this movie came out.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I'd have been 1 year old. And it's not like my dad was going to take me as a newborn to the fucking movies to see The Exterminator.
Well, mostly because nobody wants to hear a baby cry in the theater. I mean, you might be one of those quiet babies. Though.
Maybe I'd have liked this as a baby. I don't know.
That's possible.
Maybe the sounds of Vietnam helicopters would have settled me down as a young
And lulled you to sleep.
It would have soothed you to sleep.
baby.
Right. That
Some
classic
people
Huey
can't go to
sound.
sleep without a fan going. It's the quiet.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's the quiet that gets to us. We have to hear.
yeah. I
the
need
chopper in the
I need
background.
helicopter propellers leaving Vietnam in order to
Yeah,
fall asleep.
and all the gunfire and
Poor
explosions at the
slashers
beginning.
Poor Slasher is going to have Oliver Stone flashbacks.
All right, so let's get into the movie. Like, okay, he didn't. All right, it starts with him getting rescued in Vietnam, right? So, who's the guy I pointed out? Where it was the guy, Darius. I said he was an
Oh.
American ninja, right? Steve.
The actor's name is Steve James.
You know everything almost.
Oh, I looked it up. Because he said,
Oh,
isn't that the guy from American Ninja? I'm like, let me check
You
on
had
that.
to be an American ninja at least once in your life, right? No American ninja for Mora. Number
no,
one.
no, sir.
Michael Dudikoff.
I need
You don't know-
pictures. I'm sorry. I'm going to need, like, visual help here.
Okay, so Darius. What
Well, and he was in The Warriors as the character Baseball Fury.
Oh, he was one of the Furies in the Warriors. Oh shit!
Yeah, Baseball Fury.
Yeah, this is also a New York movie, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Part Vietnam, part New York. All right, everyone, go ahead and say what you want to say about this movie before we go down the line. I guess Darius, say what you want to say about this movie. Like, what did you think of this whole thing? Like, your expectations.
It was not as low budget as I expected. It was made for $2 million, but they definitely spent the budget on certain things like the explosions. Probably a lot of it. Yeah, well, I don't know how much they would have paid to rent that helicopter from the military, or if the military just sort of let them use it. Because the movie's fairly positive on the American military.
Possibly for filming in New York too would cost them a good amount of that budget because there were obvious scenes that were filmed in New York. It wasn't just like a green screen.
Right. Yeah, and it looked like they reused some of the areas. Like the soda distribution plant was reused for the meatpacking plant.
Oh shit!
And they obviously had some product placement from Rheingold.
Fucking product placement. White Rock
and White Rock and Snickers.
Yeah,
Snickers. Yeah, but Snickers wasn't as prominent in the movie as White Rock soda was. White Rock soda were random trucks in the street of White Rock soda. White Rock soda. I don't know if anyone knows that White Rock soda still exists. Like,
it does. You can get White Rock here. I forget what flavors.
And
I don't know if it's just like
everybody. When he says
White Rock.
Not mean crack cocaine.
Not super long ago when I was feeling kind of under the weather, I had some White Rock ginger ale. It's not a lot of flavors, but you can still get White Rock. And like I said, I don't know that it's still the original company. It may just be a company that bought the rights to it, later on. But
like RC.
Yeah,
like every once in a while I see like RC.
Oh yeah.
It's like what?
But yeah, you can still get here anyway. You can still get White Rock soft drinks. But it's
I know. What was
it's
the beer
only in
they
like
had? It wasn't.
very it's
It was white. It was White Rock soda and Rheingold beer.
it's
Yep.
only in like one store here, and it's like maybe just a couple like ginger ale and maybe one other thing. I don't really remember, to be honest with you. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's still around. The name anyway is still around.
So they're all right. So the Vietnam buddies who escaped. First of all, there's a brutal beheading in the beginning. Forgot about that.
Oh yeah, right off the bat.
We glossed over that. It wasn't even like a hack, like a Jason Voorhees type hack slash like boom, like take your fucking head off type thing. It was like I'm just gonna casually cut through this guy's head.
Yeah, yeah. It was like kind of a slow
Hot
chop,
knife
like a
through
hot
butter.
knife. Yes,
Yeah,
that's
like
what
a
it
knife
felt like,
cutter.
and it was a pretty good effect because that head looked like a real head before it flapped over. You know, just completely fell off the neck.
And to make it even more gory, it didn't come all the way off. It like
No,
hung there.
Yeah,
Good lord.
like a hangnail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, obviously it would have still been gory, but to me, if it had just like lopped off, but the fact that it just like hung there on the side made it that much worse.
Well, also we start off with the goriest part of the movie. That would be like the goriest part of the movie, right? There wasn't anything that extreme.
No,
Right.
I mean,
that was the
there was
worst part.
the hamburger thing, yes, but that wasn't.
yeah,
hamburger.
yeah. We see a man get turned into hamburger. We see a charred corpse on a burnt mattress, and
Oh God!
see.
Don't forget about the Vaseline.
Oh yeah,
And
Oh God!
we do kind of see the aftermath of that a little bit later in the movie, but they don't show it like happening when the scene
Right.
actually
Oh yeah,
happens.
yeah. They have a thing for cutting away from the actual happenings and just give you the.
Excuse me.
You'll hear someone scream and then you'll see blood.
right.
And,
And so
a dog also gets butchered by an electric
Yeah. Right.
carving knife, and we don't see that either.
Right.
We just they allude to the fact that something horrible happened to the dog, but you don't.
Because
I mean,
nobody wants to see an animal get hurt.
you know.
right.
People,
And
fuck 'em.
Although that dog
Yeah.
was trying to kill the exterminator.
yeah,
It was a
Well,
guard
the dog was
dog.
probably trained to do it.
but he was
It
not happy
You must-
about it.
You must have
You
missed that
literally
part more.
see
It was
you literally
trained.
see the dog getting trained to kill the exterminator like 2 scenes before the dog tries to kill him.
Moira probably missed that part because she was kind of in and out. So
Yeah.
she probably missed the part where that was an actual trained attack dog.
Like
Mhm.
he had the long he had the arm thing outside his mansion. At first there was no mansion raid. I thought he was gonna raid the mansion.
Right. But yeah, that first scene is the most violent. It has the most explosions. It does give you a sense of what the movie's going to be like, but it's like the rest of the movie is not really
That's
quite
what they
like
wiped
that.
out their budget in the first 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, on explosions. I think 2 or 3 different necks get slashed in that first scene.
Oh yeah, there's the other guy who gets like strangled with the wire. And you
Yeah.
see like the skin peel you see the skin peeling off his throat.
Yeah, that was gnarly.
And they made you think in the beginning. They kind of give you a bait and switch that this is gonna be like 100% gory nonstop.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Right. But I think it was actually pretty effective in the way it set up both his military experience, his friendship with his best friend in the military, and then the PTSD that he suffers throughout the rest of the movie, which they didn't really call it that back then, as far as I know. But it's definitely, they probably called it shell shock, but definitely, the bloody vengeance.
Yeah, they probably did
That-
just call it shell shock or like Vietnam flashbacks. Like
Yeah. The bloody vengeance that he deals out to the criminals in the movie is definitely rooted in that experience he had in the military.
right.
Like on
Anyone
every level.
Anyone else got something to say about this movie that we just watched? Carol, Raquel, Laura, Han?
I agree that this movie opened with a super, super huge bang, so to speak. And then from watching that and the name of the movie, you expect way more later. So the rest of the movie, action wise, is kind of a letdown
Yeah.
to me.
Compared
And
to
as Darius was
compared to
saying,
the
we
very
watched the movie.
opening
It did have the super cool helicopter with like the smoke and the flames like swirling. That was
Mhm.
pretty cool at the beginning. But from the opening of the movie, you would think this is going to be the most kick-ass movie, gory, beat 'em up, shoot people
the
movie, and
movie
then it kind of
poster in
goes.
general. The movie poster in general. He's in a. I don't know if anyone ever played the old school arcade game Narc. It looks like
Oh yeah,
uh,
it had the guns,
one of the
right?
it looks like if one of the guys from Narc had a flamethrower. And you don't get that. We don't get flamethrower action in this movie. The poster was
Uh,
totally.
we get light flamethrower action. We get
Yeah,
Yeah,
the implication.
they tease it,
threatening.
but then he doesn't do anything with it, which
He
is kind of
threatens
a
someone with a
letdown.
flamethrower. He doesn't do anything with the flamethrower.
Yeah, and we see later that dude's like totally fine. Well, to that point, he was totally fine.
But yeah, go ahead, Han.
No, that's all I was gonna say is from the way the movie opens. The movie opens with a huge bang,
Several.
and it makes you think, especially from the name of the movie, this is gonna be. I mean, if you're into like beat 'em up, gory movies, this is gonna be awesome. And then after that, it kind of like fizzles
Yeah.
out.
Then we get a fucking jazz concert in the park somewhere down the line. Come
Yeah,
on.
with waiters and waitresses. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Like,
Well,
I want
maybe she'll be back later.
Oh, okay. Yeah. She said something in the
Go
group
ahead.
chat.
Oh,
No, that she dipped, and I was just saying that y'all check the
okay. Sorry,
private
Rico.
chat. Yeah, that was all I was really gonna say. It's kind of I was just kind of piggybacking off what Darius was saying.
Oh, I got you. But I don't know. It's like just seeing that movie poster and then watching the movie.
Right. Well, because it makes it look like a slasher movie, right? Because, it says the Exterminator and he's wearing the helmet in the poster, right? And I think he's holding the flamethrower.
He's either holding a flamethrower or like a shotgun kind of thing. It may be a flamethrower, but yeah,
I'm starting to think that wasn't even him in the motorcycle helmet on the poster. It probably was someone totally different.
the shot. Well, if it's not the flamethrower, it makes me think of the shotgun that the detective had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 3-shot. And so
Yeah.
I would say after the opening scene in Vietnam, where they're taken prisoner by the VC, and they're captured, and his friend picks up the big old. What was that gun, Han?
It's an M60.
Yeah, an M60. Like
The pig. Useless facts. I think they used to call it the pig.
Pig destroyer, more like. But the rest of the movie after that scene was more in the vein of like
Missing
Death
an
Wish.
Oh, okay.
Dirty Harry.
I thought you were saying
The Boondock Saints. Yeah, with a little bit of Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
This movie goes full Taxi Driver at the end.
Yeah. Well, several times. I felt like the was it Times Square scene back in 1980, where it's just all porno and sex shops.
Old school.
Oh, the little peep shows.
Old school Times Square.
And chicken pimps.
Okay, it's not an aside because this is actually a character in the movie. But could you imagine being an actor and they're like, "Who are you in the movie?" You're like, "Oh, I was the chicken pimp."
Your IMDb credit is
Chicken pimp.
Because that was exactly what they called his character in the credits was the chicken pimp.
So, Carol, what did you think of this movie, Carol? When you were watching it, were you thinking, "What the fuck is going on"?
Yeah, I mean, I watched the preview for it, and it
Oh, you
was like
did?
yeah, I know I
do
did.
that. I didn't even
Oh,
do that.
it's like a different movie. Like the preview made it look awesome. Like maybe that's where the budget went. Just
It
cut
made it
and
look
paste
better than
together.
the actual movie.
Yeah.
The not to interrupt you, Carol, but I didn't see the preview, but I'm just guessing from you saying that the preview and the poster were probably similar of making it look like this is the most
Yeah.
coolest damn movie ever.
I was
Like, this
excited. I was like, this is
Death
awesome.
Wish
And I
on
was like, oh.
steroids. He's gonna fuck
Yeah.
everybody. Right?
Well, I saw a blurb that referred to it as extreme justice. Like it's a film in the extreme justice genre, right? So yes, I would put Dirty Harry, Death Wish, and Boondock Saints in that category of extreme justice.
Yeah.
The vigilante, and then the cop who's always one step behind the vigilante, trying to figure out who's doing all this, who eventually softens up to the idea of what he's doing, right? The necessity of the vigilante, who does what we can't do. Which is not said in the movie, but it's more subtle in this one.
You get the gist though of that by the end of, but yeah, like you said, it's way more subtle, but you do get that at the end of the movie. Although it's not really spoken or necessarily shown specifically, but you do get. I mean, I guess it is shown specifically, but you know what I'm saying. It's not like a thing where he says anything about it like some of the movies you talked about, but you can tell by the end he's like, "Oh, I understand what you're doing," and you know,
right. And a parallel is actually drawn pretty early on between Detective Dalton and Eastland, the Exterminator, when we find out that Dalton was also in Vietnam, that he served in the war.
I was gonna say that we find out, although we probably did find out earlier, but we were probably talking over it that Dalton was actually.
Yeah, we find out when Dalton picks up the doctor or the nurse from the hospital.
When he goes to the jazz concert in the park.
Yeah, but even before the jazz concert, when he first picks her up from the hospital where she's tending to a man in a full body cast in traction and standing right next to this guy in the hospital bed, he's like, "Hey, you want to go out for dinner?"
She's and she just leaves. She's like, "Oh yeah, okay."
Leaves the guy there.
That sounds cool.
Okay, wait. We also forgot to mention his quest for vengeance was caused because of his friend getting a garden tool dug into his back.
Which I'm guessing,
although they stopped the beer and soda robbery.
By the super duper Puerto Rican guy that wore like everything Puerto Rican flag you could ever wear.
Because every single thing he's wearing has the Puerto Rican flag on it.
They really wanted you to know how Puerto Rican this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm not even sure the actor was Puerto Rican.
They never specifically say it, but judging by what happens with his friend, I'm assuming, and we all talked about this while we were watching the movie, I'm assuming he was paralyzed, is what I'm guessing.
Yes, he was.
Because the dude basically, like you said, Slasher, like ripped his spine out with like this garden three-pronged like garden tool.
Yeah, and they showed the little
optic racer
chunk comes out of his back.
Yeah.
Hey.
He mauls his back super bad. And at the time, we kind of all thought he was dead, and that was going to be the reason for vengeance.
What's up,
and
Raquel?
but then you see him in the hospital. It's not that it's much better, but then you see him in the hospital. It's like, oh, okay, well, didn't kill him, but we find out later. Apparently, it probably more than likely made him.
We didn't go through the soda stocking scene, right? So after the opening,
is the whole thing.
It was a robbery. So after the opening scene in the war, where they're basically the only two who's in their unit who survive, and he actually shoots a Viet Cong escaping through the water, and that's the first time we see him, contemplatively kill somebody. But we see that
he destroys a bunch on their way out of Vietnam. Actually, Or they fucked up a lot of shit on the way out. On their way out,
Well,
Oh, that's
and,
true.
they killed a lot of guys on their way out.
and they set up the fact that his friend that later gets mauled is the one that saved him
Yeah,
from the Viet Cong, and then fast forward to
to
when
them both
they're
working
in
at
New
the
York.
soda yard. To them both working at the soda and
Yeah, so him and his best buddy from Vietnam are still best friends and working together at the same company.
we get that lame song. All right, it goes from them to the chopper out of Nam to a shot of the Statue of Liberty at night.
Yep.
It goes to a song that you would totally not expect from a movie called The Exterminator.
Well, it did
Right.
that at the beginning and at the end credits.
That's
It played the most lame song at the beginning and at the end.
Exterminator Optic Racer. That's what it's called.
Yeah, from
Mhm.
the Exterminator from 1980 is what we're talking about. Optic
1980
Racer.
on the button.
Yeah, it's this soft, folksy ballad that we see right after the Vietnam scene as the helicopter shot is flying into New York past the Statue of Liberty. It sounded somewhere between Dan Fogelberg and Willie Nelson, and James Taylor.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like sounded very James Taylor-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And the end credit song, I mean, we didn't look it up.
Oh, it was almost the same song.
The end credit song though totally sounds to me like Willie Nelson.
Yep.
In the end
But I'm
credits.
saying it was also not a fitting song for.
No, it wasn't. The,
No.
the opening credit song and the end credit song were totally not matching with a movie called The Exterminator.
Right.
Like,
So
if this
they're
if
working.
this was a 90s movie, are you kidding me? The music they would have been playing in this movie.
Yeah. So they're working together at this soda plant, and and he's knows his best friend's wife, and his best friend has a wife and 2 kids, and they get robbed by the
Very stupidly too, because these
the
guys,
ghetto ghouls.
the
Yeah.
ghetto ghouls. It's not that they robbed them; it's how stupidly they robbed them. Because
Yeah, in broad daylight, they're just like carrying cases of beer. They were
not
actually,
only are they carrying cases, but they're also standing there, cracking open cans and drinking them.
and a 40. Remember, there was also a 40.
Yeah, yes. They're not just like taking the boxes; they're taking their sweet ass time and enjoying the beverages in the middle of the robbery.
I'm just gonna sit here and crack a 40 and
Yeah.
drink a 40
That's
while
not
my
a
buddies.
reliable gang. That's not a reliable gang right there.
No,
Those are
no.
clowns.
No. Yeah, that is definitely not a reliable gang at all.
And they fight them off by busting cases of White Rock and Rheingold over their heads.
Yeah, when he goes, "Brr," bam, and busts like a case of soda over the back of that guy.
Right.
And
And
then,
they're
and
like,
then
hey,
what?
you all right,
Like,
man?
and then, like 2-3 scenes later, they kill the black guy. They go.
Well,
the
it was
guy
retaliation.
from
And
America.
yeah, it's kind of abrupt, so that's why I didn't figure out what was going on right away, but it's retaliation.
Kill him immediately. Sorry
Yeah.
to throw in a bit of a spoiler. They don't kill him immediately.
No, they throw some slurs at him,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah,
they put the beat down on him.
There is an N word dropped in the movie when they're attacking his friend from Vietnam.
To let you know how evil they are.
Well,
Jefferson,
and Puerto Rican.
that's his name. Yeah, yeah.
Well, the one guy's.
Oh, we also
super
get
duper.
the guy who lets you know how Italian he is.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
They-
All the
they-
mobsters are super Italian.
they were a very diverse gang. If you think,
You know,
if
you
you
know,
think about
whatever
it.
his name is. Dino Gabagool.
Yeah.
Hey, my name is Salami Capicola. Forget about it.
My name's Fettuccine Alfredo. Sorry.
So they jump him.
How you doing, Paradise?
What's up, Bearhead?
Oh, hey, Bearhead.
So they jump Jefferson. They put the beat down on him, throw out some slurs at him. And then the super Puerto Rican guy takes out like a garden
Super
claw.
Puerto Rican guy.
I don't remember his name, but
Yeah,
I
like
just
a-
remember he had
like a-
the Puerto Rican flag
Like one of
on.
those
His name
all of
might
his
as
clothes.
well- his name legit might as well just be Puerto Rican guy. It's
Yeah,
really-
I don't know that they ever. I mean, they
Any
probably did, but I don't know if they ever said his name. He was just super, super duper Puerto Rican guy.
Yep. He pulls out like a garden tool that's shaped like a claw.
Yeah,
I don't remember what that's called.
He Wolverines the dude's back.
Yes. Just bam. Right in the mid upper back. It's very bloody. And we thought for sure he was dead.
And then boom, like 20 seconds later, Exterminator. Okay, sorry, our hero, the Exterminator. What's his name again? Eastland. Okay,
Eastland.
he does no investigation, no going around town.
not that we see anyway.
He's just got the dude
Right.
tied up somewhere, and he's threatening him with a blowtorch, trying to get information. It's like, wow,
Right,
this,
Well,
right.
and
this is the fastest I've ever seen someone in a movie.
well, and that scene almost makes
Batman.
me.
Batman doesn't find people that quickly.
Well, that scene almost makes me wonder if there was more before that, and like maybe
Yeah,
they
we put
cut
on
it
the
out for
cutting room
time
floor,
or
cutting
something.
room floor, stuff
Yeah,
that was
what
on-
Slasher called the discovery. There's no discovery
Yeah,
process.
I'm in my mind, it's like, well, maybe they did more before that, and like you said,
And it
on the
was
cutting
the
room
cutting
floor,
room
they're like,
floor,
no, we'll just cut that out.
It probably was. This movie seemed very much like there was a lot of cutting room floor stuff on it.
There was very, very many things missing that made other things not make sense. That makes you think, well, maybe they were like trying to hit like a certain length of the
Yeah,
movie, and they just cut certain things out.
We're
You
watching
know?
a movie. His friend gets assaulted by the gang, and then all of a sudden he's got some dude ready. He's like, "Holy shit! He's gonna burn someone to death immediately."
Yeah, he's already got him strung up with a flamethrower
Uh,
or blowtorch.
And then nothing. And then nothing.
It's kind of like a cross between like one of the things you can get to like braise pipes and shit, but it has like extra tanks and stuff attached to it. So it's like a cross between like a torch you can get at a hardware store and a flamethrower.
Okay,
Right.
and spoiler alert: he didn't use that fucking thing for the rest of the fucking movie.
Which really upset me. A, it upset me that he didn't use it for the rest of the movie. And B, we obviously see later in the movie that dude, he just left that dude there, and apparently the dude got free or somebody let him free.
Yeah, we never
Because he
even
gets
see him get out.
He gets him later in the movie. So it's like, you're the exterminator. Once you got the information from the dude, why didn't you light him up with the flamethrower like you did the guy in the chicken shack or whatever? I'll
Right,
just
which is
call it the
also later
chicken
in the
shack.
movie. But
Yeah.
so he uses it to threaten him. Yeah, he like holds it up. He even like, puts a little fire on the sleeve of his denim jacket with the ghetto ghouls cut on the back.
Got
Yeah.
the dude like tied up in like what looks like an abandoned building.
Yeah, he's like totally like just tied up.
Right.
It
He didn't even
doesn't
take
look
the jacket off him.
Yeah, it looks like he's got him in like an abandoned building. So why not just torch the place?
Well, there are some establishing shots of abandoned buildings in 1980 New York.
I
Oh,
mean,
a lot. Yeah, there's
But
quite a few. Yeah.
if he did just like eliminate that guy, exterminate that guy right there, like that guy would like that old lady wouldn't have got kicked in the face at the end of the movie.
Yeah. that's
Oh,
true.
yeah, that's true. That was the dude. Yeah, that was part of that. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So he tells him, as he's interrogating him, he's like, "Don't lie to me." And the guy swears, "I'm not lying to you. I'm not lying to you." So we think for sure he's lying, right?
Yeah.
But that's what he uses the blowtorch for, just to interrogate him. And then he just leaves him there to follow the trail.
Just leaves him there. That was so stupid.
Yeah,
But he-
because like you said, he comes back later in the movie and assaults somebody else because he didn't get flamed
fuck
by
out of
the
the 80-year-old
exterminator.
woman. He beats the fuck out of and robs an 80-year-old woman with his stupid friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The classic trope, as you said, of the old woman carrying groceries late
Who
at
gets
night when she
assaulted?
shouldn't be out.
Who gets
Right.
assaulted?
A bit of the old ultra violence.
Well, especially for classic 1980s New York City. You
Yeah.
know, why would the old lady be out in
All right.
classic 1980s New York City just
all these
walking like kind of through the park or wherever she was carrying like big bags of groceries?
In all these movies around this era, Hano, you know that they tried to make New York look as scummy and as
Yeah.
fucking grimy as
Which,
possible.
which like Slasher said is, I'm sorry, Darius, what Darius was saying, they showed so many rundown, abandoned, like burn out. Yeah, they showed shots that could be modern day Detroit. Darius.
Yeah.
They showed so many shots that would be modern day Detroit
It
of
was
like the
probably
old
70s South Bronx.
blown out buildings. Yeah.
Those pictures were probably legit 70s South Bronx.
They did basically all of the stereotypical old school New York things. Show all the abandoned, like druggy crackhead buildings, and
Show all the
classic
criminal scumbags. Show as many criminal scumbags as you can. Show as many low lives as you can.
show the dilapidated buildings, and also show old school Times Square with the peep shows and all that stuff. They hit like all of the stereotypical like 1980s, 70s New York things. Like they had a list. They're like, okay, we got that check. We got that check.
All right, the guy who made this movie, I'm telling you, he watched Death Wish and he watched Taxi Driver, and he's like, I'm gonna put these two in a fucking blender.
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever seen Taxi.
Pretty much.
Han.
It's I have, but it's been quite a while ago. I've actually been thinking about what it's either on Amazon Prime or Netflix. It was recently.
It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
I haven't seen it in a long time, and it's I've either seen it pop up on Amazon Prime or Netflix, or it was
very slow moving movie, but
yeah, but it was obviously an inspiration for the Joker film, right? Because the Joker film was basically Taxi Driver mixed with the King of Comedy.
Joker was, I would say, Taxi Driver, King of Comedy, and a bit of Death Wish thrown in there.
Okay.
Like, I'd say that subway scene with the Joker was very Death Wish-like.
Yeah.
But yeah, King of Comedy, definitely because of the end scene.
Right. So he follows the tip that he got from interrogating the guy with the blowtorch to an apartment building over a shop on a street corner where two of the gang members and three women are dancing to disco music. Very poorly, I might add.
And one is dancingly, she's randomly dancing topless for some reason.
She just takes her shirt off. And he sneaks in there.
What was the song? Han, what was the song? I remember
Disco Inferno. It was Disco Inferno. Which pisses me off even more because after we all hoped he was going to torch that dude with the blowtorch.
Yeah.
The very next scene. Yeah, the very next scene, they're playing Disco Inferno, and you're like, "Yeah, he torched that guy with a torch. This is funny." And then you find out later in the movie, he didn't do anything to that dude. He got what he wanted from him, information-wise, and then just left him in there.
Right, and the song has the line "Burn the mother down," and later in the movie, I thought he was going to burn a whole building down, and that didn't happen either.
It would have been along the lines of like in Revenge of the Nerds when the fucking alpha betas, when they set the fucking fraternity on fire and you hear burning down the house. It would have been along the same line.
Yeah, that was pretty on the nose, but this not so much.
All right, well, what's this?
And
what's this you said there? This movie, the movie has become somewhat legendary due to some of its graphic violence, including a mind-blowing Vietnam sequence where a man gets his head chopped off. The scene was cut out throughout most of the world, but since the film is easily gotten uncut, there's no question that it's a sequence that has been seen for gore hounds. It's certainly one of the most realistic looking of its type.
It was a good effect.
It was,
It
but
was. It really was.
they, for lack of a better way to say it, they blew the gory ass kicking
With
one
that scene. So you're
in the
saying they
very
blew their load,
beginning of the
you're
movie.
saying they blew their load too early with the gore. I
They
got you
did,
saying
and
totally
I
did.
I
They
think
100%
as we
did.
were talking about watching the movie, not only that, I think they blew a lot of their budget in the beginning of the movie. Between that and like the helicopter, obviously film scenes of the city of New York City and all that stuff. Um, I think they blew a lot of money on the beginning of the movie and some of the actual New York filming. That a lot of the other parts of the movie they just didn't live up.
They had nice suits.
Well, yeah, every goomball that was somebody in the movie had a three-piece
Yep.
suit on.
Yeah.
If somebody had a three-piece suit on, you found out really quick that they were a big shot mafia person.
Mafia or like a senator or CIA.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, but
And I like how the dude.
either one of
I
them
like
had
it.
to be corrupt. That's all that mattered. If you're wearing a
Uh,
three-piece suit, you're a corrupt scumbag.
Yep.
Well, I like how the dude. Well, I like how the exterminator hides in the garbage can.
Oh yeah, that was
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
After his security guy comes in there and checks the bathroom, so the mafia boss can go in there and take a dump.
Oh yeah, and he actually
The
like
exterminator like pops out of the garbage can like, ooh,
and that he drags around a lot of unconscious bodies.
Right.
Yeah. He
Well,
does.
I was gonna point out he sneaks into that apartment building with, as Slasher pointed out, his was that an M16 in a bag, incognito. This
like this
rifle in a bag.
thing that he's like carrying around the city, like, oh, nothing to see here.
In a
And
bag.
it's just like it's a full size M16, just like covered up.
Ends
And
up
some
drag-
like OD green.
ends up dragging.
fabric.
We see him only dragging one person out of the building by a foot. He's got this one dude by his foot, and he's dragging him down the stairs. But then we see
Right.
like
Well,
later on, he's got two.
because he shoots the Puerto Rican guy who goes to attack him, and then another guy, he knocks him out and drags him out by his foot down the stairs, and somehow makes it all the way back to his hideout,
which is super easy to do, to grab a knocked out guy by just one like ankle and just drag
it all
him
the time.
out of a building.
How do you think I get my kid to school?
So when he comes to, he's like in the middle of class. He's like,
Yeah.
oh,
I just kind of just drop her off at the bus stop and drag her down. It's only 3 houses down. She's fine.
So
Carol,
after he
you use any tactics like this in this movie?
Yeah.
So wait, after he drags the guy out, right? He interrogates him too, doesn't he?
All right. First of all,
Yeah.
when he goes up into the Disco Inferno, there's the giant mutant-looking guy who's the one who choked his friend out with a chain before Super Puerto Rican Man digs his spine out with a hook.
Yeah.
Right. But then, all right, I couldn't even tell when he went up into the Disco Inferno apartment. How many people did he kill? One person out of like 3 or 4?
I think so. Because, he smacks around the 3 women that are there and tells them to get out of here. Grabs one by the hair.
He does bitches leave.
I want to say there was 3. I want to say there was 3 guys and 3 women in there, right?
Okay.
Something like that, I think.
One of the guys and killed one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know he killed the Puerto Rican guy.
And he drags the other dude out. So I don't remember what he does. I don't remember if he kills the other guy or not.
I don't know. There was editing problems with this movie, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was some big. Well, for instance, he steals the motorcycle from the guy that's trying to save the old lady that just got beat up, and threatens the guy that's trying to save
No, no,
the old
no.
lady.
Yes, I will say that the only reason he did that was to get the motorcycle from the guy to go immediately after the guys who did it.
But the thing that, again, talking about editing, the thing that bothered me about that, and even the poster, like you said, shows him wearing the motorcycle helmet with the visor.
Like, you expect him at least in the end part to get geared up like that, right?
And well, not only that, he wipes out on the motorcycle, loses the helmet, but somehow later in the movie he has the motorcycle and the helmet again.
Yeah.
But
I
he
never seen him go
obviously
back.
left the motorcycle and the helmet there.
Yeah.
Because remember, he like leaves it and goes after him, and you don't see him get the motorcycle. You know, it's like there's obviously like something that was lost in editing.
I think there were quite a few things lost in editing.
Because then all of a sudden, towards the end, he has the motorcycle and the helmet again. You're like, wait a minute, didn't he like wipe out and lose the motorcycle and the helmet like 30 minutes ago in the movie?
Well, he went back and found it while the
Well, apparently it just laid there.
were raiding his apartment.
Yeah.
So is it he interrogates the guy that he dragged out of the apartment, right? And that's how he finds out about the Don.
Hamburger.
Yeah. Because he asked him like who their boss is or whatever, and that's how he finds Meat Grinder guy.
Hamburger Man, yeah.
Well, yeah, Hamburger.
Oh, yeah.
That's even funnier.
Right.
Hamburger Man, yeah.
Right. He was the head of the meat mafia.
Yeah, it's even funnier that he got grounded to Hamburger, and then they call him the head of the Meat Mafia.
Said Meat Mafia.
Yeah, I think they even call it the meat mafia.
Yeah, they do on the news. On the news, when they talk about him being killed, they call him the head of the Meat Mafia on the news.
The Meat Mafia.
So, like Slasher said, he sneaks into a bathroom, right? Eastland. And when the meat mafia Don goes to take a dump, he pops up out of a trash can that he was hiding in.
That was awesome. I will say
It's not just that.
I'm not too high on this movie. Not too high on this movie, but yes, exactly. On the way
he's got it like on his head, and he goes,
yeah,
like pops out the trash can with like the lid like on his head. And he's just like
he's Oscar the Grouch. Awesome.
Yeah. Wearing all
totally
black
like
and a hoodie.
It's like an old school like McDonald's like flappy lid trash can.
It was a really clean trash can, though.
It was.
Oh yeah.
You didn't see a fucking ounce of garbage on him when he's
right. Well, I was trying to figure out because it didn't look like there was any bag in it. I was trying to figure out what he did with the bag.
I'm sure he found a way to. This guy
dispose of it.
Found a way to dispose of it somehow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he threw it out the window the same way he like dragged the fucking mafia boss out the window.
Right.
Well,
right. Well, because after he injects something into the neck of the Don and knocks him out, he takes him out the window.
Yeah.
Next scene, Mafia Don is hanging by chains, like off the ground
in the meat packing plant.
Yeah, and he sticks a hamburger grinder under him.
What we call poetic justice.
Especially since he was
could have played that in the movie more. They could have played the hamburger. If they're not going to do the flamethrower, at least use a hamburger grinder more. Come on.
Well, I mean, they did eventually use it, but they totally.
At first, it's just a threat.
Yeah, and then we were really let down because we're like, wait a minute, what? You're just going to leave him hang there? And apparently, for like the next half of the movie, the dude just hangs there.
The Mafia Don sends him to his house, and I forgot what he sent him to his house because we were all talking over it.
Yeah, I don't remember. He went to look for something.
And then all of a sudden, here comes this guard dog that mauls the shit out of the Exterminator.
Yeah, well, it was what, a Doberman Pinscher?
Yeah, it's Doberman.
Yep. Who we saw getting trained to attack like a big sleeve
the
guard.
with the long arm guard shit.
Yep.
Yeah,
Literally like 2 scenes before this too.
well,
Yep.
A lot of
and it-
parts of this movie.
well, it was either you, Darius, or you, Slasher, that was like, I guarantee you he's going to end up in the house, and the guard dog is going to attack him. And
Right.
then, like 2 scenes later, that's exactly what happens.
Right. Well, because they set up the dog.
But what I thought with the dog was that I thought there was going to be some invasion on the Don's house at the end. I didn't think the Don was going to get nicked in the middle of the fucking movie. Like I didn't know that this guy was going to be moving on from people to people. I thought like he was going to have one target from the beginning of the movie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, when they set up the dog in that previous scene, I thought, okay, when he sneaks into that, well, he doesn't even sneak in. He's like, "How do I get in?" And the Don goes, "Easy, I'll give you the key."
Yeah,
So he gives him the
this
key.
This is for the front door. This
Yeah,
key's for the back door.
Yeah.
Just go on in. And
Yeah.
the guy's like, "Oh, okay, thanks."
And
for
then
the
I like
keys."
how that and then it's actually funny too because the exterminator kind of lowers him a little bit more into the grinder before he leaves. He lowers him but doesn't like drop him in the grinder a little bit more before he leaves.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
So he sneaks into the house. Well, he didn't sneak in. He has the key, and he's looking for something, but we didn't hear what it was. And his foot taps the bowl, the water dish for the dog,
Yeah.
and you hear the dog
And then
is
all of a
up
sudden, the hound
at
from
him.
hell comes out.
And we said, "Oh, there's no way he's gonna kill a dog. He can't kill a dog." You know, I thought he was gonna incapacitate the dog.
Yeah, or do one of the old movie tropes of like get it in a pantry or a closet or something
right.
and like shoot it in there.
Right, like
Pull
in
a
Signs.
steak out of his pocket and throw it so the dog goes for the steak.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I thought there was gonna be a couple of Goombas in the house
Like,
that he
maybe
was
like
gonna take
karate.
out.
Maybe like just like a light karate chop to the dog's neck. The dog
Yeah.
knocked
That's not quite what happened.
And a very well placed cordless, well, apparently cordless.
No, we
I
saw
don't-
that it gets knocked over when the dog jumps at him.
Well,
Oh,
I'm
that's
saying though,
not
it's
right.
very conviently placed. It just so happens
it
to be
is.
on the counter, and it
Oh,
gets
yeah.
knocked in the floor to where he can reach it.
Well, he also
And-
needed a device to get out of the dog situation too, though.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's very
Without
convenient.
shooting the dog, he needed to get out of the situation with the
Yeah,
dog.
because that dog was on top of him,
Yeah.
trying to maul him.
The dog wasn't very big, and he was military trained. He couldn't fight off that tiny little dog.
That dog also, like, you saw he was all bloody after dealing with the dog. Like, it was his own blood. The dog was like,
Well, yeah, and
Oh.
he had like I want to say it was his arm. He had like a bite like on his arm, like
I
the
thought on his
dog.
face, too. I thought he had some on his face too after that.
He did. He had blood like on both sides of his face, probably from the carving knife with the dog. But he also had like a mauling like on his arm, I want to say, from where the dog originally.
Well, yeah, when he
Running,
was on the floor
jumped on him.
struggling, his blood was dripping on the floor when he was struggling.
Yep. And even though we saw a man get decapitated in the war scene,
Yeah, like
we couldn't see a dog.
The dog thing is the most hardcore thing that people are dealing with this movie. We watch a guy slowly get decapitated in the fucking in like the first 3 minutes of
They
the
were
movie.
upset over the dog.
Yep. But
They-
when he
they-
Over a dog you don't even see get cut because it's not on
You
screen.
didn't hear the
Yeah.
whimper.
nope,
they
it doesn't
they
show it.
basically used all the gore in this movie in the very first Vietnam scene.
That so the slowly dropping decapitated head is what they spent the
Yeah, that
Like,
even
1
totally
point-
go and just like hangs
1.5
there.
of the $2 million budget.
Well, and probably I'm guessing for the rating, they went like hardcore, like in the very first scene of the movie, and then maybe that's why they reeled it back in for the rest of the scenes, was like for the rating, maybe in 1980. I don't know.
First
That's
of all,
just
I
my
couldn't even
guess.
believe when I saw that this was actually in the theaters. I saw that this.
I
Yeah.
can't believe how much money it made.
$35
Are
million.
you kidding me? Like,
Well, exploitation was big at that time.
It had a very big budget for what we saw. For 1980s money, it had a
Yeah,
very
2
big
million.
budget, and for what we saw, and like we said, I think they blew a lot of money on like aerial shots of New York City
Yeah,
and like the
helicopters.
Vietnam part explosions and stuff, and I think possibly maybe that was the reason that they reeled it in after the beginning was like, oh, if we go too hardcore the rest of the movie, it's the rating, is going to be worse or something. I mean, I'm sure it was. I'm guessing it was.
Although,
rated R.
yeah,
I don't know.
that is the point also too, where it was around this time where certain movies were threatened to cut down their content in the movies, otherwise they'll be threatened with a rated X release, and a rated
Mhm.
X release, not
Well,
triple X, not
the
triple
the
X, rated X.
the
Rated
the,
X
the
would get you. It was basically a box office death stamp if you had a
well,
rated.
kind of like
Like
nowadays, if your movie
remember-
was rated
remember-
NC-17.
I was gonna say, Han, yeah, NC-17 was basically
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
X light. No, I'm saying, yeah. No, but you're along the same lines, though, Han. It's like NC-17 was like a death sentence if your movie is going to be put out in the theater and it's going to be rated NC-17.
Yeah, because they're not going to rate a theatrical movie now X, but
Yeah.
they'll rate it NC-17, and that again, that's basically.
Well, I don't even know if they have that rating. Does that? I can't even remember.
I don't think they have X
movie
anymore. I
was
think
released.
NC-17 basically took over for X.
Yeah, but what was the last movie that was released with the NC-17 rating? Is what I'm trying to say.
Darius will find it because he has
I can
way
find it.
good Google foo.
That rating was a death sentence. I can't even say there would be a total of 10 movies that were ever released with the NC-17.
I'm gonna add Showgirls to that list.
Showgirls was
Yep.
NC-17.
Well, and
there was
I even remember reading things or seeing video or interviews or whatever about movies, and they had to specifically cut parts out because that was what they were afraid of, was it was going to be rated NC-17.
Yes. There was
Mhm.
well, before even NC-17, they wanted RoboCop edited down. Otherwise, RoboCop was going to get an X rating, which means that would have been a death sentence for RoboCop.
Yep. And it looks like there have been more NC-17 rated films, but there's like an entire list that I found.
And what was the last year one was released?
2021, the
Oh,
King's
shit.
Man. It was edited for re-rating to R. Spiral had to be re-edited 11 times to get an R rating. Let's see. Yeah, in fact, a lot of the recent ones mention re-editing.
All right,
The
was
Passion Chronicles
was
rated NC-17.
Was the Passion of the Christ NC-17?
That's a good question. I
There
don't
was
think
some-
so.
There wasn't there a Jesus movie that was NC-17?
I remember the Passion of the Christ being super hardcore. I never
Yeah.
saw it, but I remember
I
people
never did
saying
either,
or
but I heard-
reviews
I
saying
never
it was
saw it
super
either. I heard-
hardcore.
Yeah,
But I
I
don't
heard
know what the
plenty
rating
about it.
was.
I heard plenty about it. Ex of mine referred to it as the beatdown of the Christ, so I don't know anything about it. Okay, but
Let's
there was
see.
a Willem Dafoe Jesus movie. Was there? Was there a movie where Willem Dafoe played Jesus?
Yes. There was a
I
movie
don't
where
know.
Willem Dafoe played Jesus. I can't remember the name. Maybe the chat will know.
Was that NC-17?
The Last Temptation of Christ, 1988. Let's see.
Okay, it was 80s. NC-17 wasn't around till the 90s. Okay. Jesus Christ,
And,
this fucking talk about this movie ended up turning into an NC-17 discussion.
Well, and like we were saying, the weird editing in this movie and how it went so balls to the wall from the beginning. I think that was a lot to do with it. I'm sure they edited out more of what we would have seen if there was like an unrated or unrated version now that we could watch.
Mhm.
If there was a Snyder cut of this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because not only did they go super gory at the very beginning, but they also showed boobs like what was it 3 times in the movie, so they had to also account for that. They had to account for the gore and the boobs when they were worried about what rating it was going to get.
And that's a good point when you mentioned unrated, because I've noticed that more in the last like 10, 15 years, is that, instead of getting an NC-17 rating, they'll just leave the movie unrated, right? So if you find unrated stuff on like Netflix, unrated, I mean, it's probably going to be really graphic. Lars von Trier films are notorious for being, very graphic, unrated, but beyond R.
I mean, the one time someone wanted me to watch The Human Centipede, I can't say I was concentrating on what rating it was. I was just like, okay, I'd rather not see this movie.
or used to, when DVDs were more popular, you would have an R-rated movie at the theater, and then they would do the unrated version on DVD.
Yeah.
You could get the theatrical release, or you could get the unrated version, and the unrated version would basically be what they really wanted to put in the theater, but they didn't want above an R rating.
Or they would have as a bonus like deleted scenes, like go to the category and like boop, 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 deleted scene, like shit like that.
Okay, I found Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac, 2014. Originally, it received an NC-17 rating, but it surrendered the rating and was released without a rating. So that's what they do sometimes. Lately, anyway, I've noticed that.
Basically, unrated is better to put on your movie than NC-17, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right, because unrated just means it doesn't have a rating, right? So in theory, it can mean anything, right? Like Netflix will show unrated movies, but I don't think it shows NC-17 rated movies.
I have never seen an NC-17 rated movie on any streaming service.
Right.
But I have seen unrated movies.
So do you think that if this movie, like, if they let everything go on it, if there was a Snidey cut of this movie, like, this shit would be like rated XX at least?
No.
17?
I mean, at that time, it would probably be rated X. Nowadays, I think it would just be rated R. If they released it nowadays and didn't cut out like even the extra gore we wished we would have saw, which sounds bad for us. I think it would still just be a rated R movie, because between the 80s and now,
I think the
standards have changed.
Yeah, I think the most graphic things in the film were the decapitation in the beginning, which was a great effect. And then
the scene, which was just implied.
No, not even the hamburger scene. I was thinking of the scene at the chicken shack where there's photos stuck on a pinboard, and it just has this guy with a huge dong hanging out.
That's
well, the funny thing about that was...
When I meant graphic, I meant about the violence. That's what I was talking. Also, sorry, there was also Danny DeVito with the light in the girl.
That apparently lives at the chicken shack because he was there both times.
Right. But we didn't see.
Like what?
We didn't see it happen graphically, right? It was mostly through implication. He dipped.
How the hell did we get through this whole conversation without that beat photo? I can't even believe that.
He dips the soldering iron in the Vaseline, which could also have been wax.
Which would just burn off.
Well, it might have been wax.
Whole thing with that.
But yeah, it basically just looks like a jar of Vaseline with the top off.
That's when the movie turned into Taxi Driver for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it turned into the end scene of Taxi Driver for 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, because you got the young blonde prostitute.
Well, the funny thing is, the one scene of the chicken shack, they purposely blur a picture on the pegboard.
Yeah,
but then later, they don't blur all the dong pictures.
Wall of dicks. Then it's just a wall of dicks.
Yeah.
Photos of dicks, not actual dicks covering a wall.
I'm like, how bad would that one picture be? Because they let all the dongs just go. but they
But this
blurred
place-
that one
This place
picture.
also lets you know what they're into, though, because as soon as you walk in, there's a gimp mask hanging off the wall, and then
Right.
there's like a torch with like handcuffs hanging off of it.
Right. And the first thing the chicken pimp says is to the prostitute that is brought in is like, oh, yeah, well, these guys, they're like power players. Yeah, they're into, young boys, but
Yeah,
sometimes
no,
they like girls
Power
too.
players- don't we find out that Danny DeVito, or it's not really Danny DeVito, by the way.
No,
Yeah,
it's,
like
it's just
Danny
a
DeVito.
heavy set New Jersey senator.
Yeah, but he sure.
Oh
should.
yeah,
We find out he's a New Jersey senator who likes to like kidnap young boys and
he's
let's
really
say,
into soldering irons for some
and
reason.
great
Yeah.
them. Like later on,
and-
we find
and
he's,
He likes to solderize them.
yeah,
Yeah.
sodomized.
Ba-dum-ts.
Because we don't
That was
see
bad.
the female prostitute get the soldering iron, although we know what happens.
Till
But
he
then
goes,
later, you
he
see
goes
the scars.
Right.
but
Well, they're not even scars yet. They're fresh burn marks.
Well, yeah, because it's like a day after that happened, and she's still
Right.
out there working.
because
And she
like
doesn't think
nothing
anyone will
happened.
care.
But Exterminator goes out there, Death Wish style, and patrols the streets, and that's where he finds the soldering iron burned prostitute.
Right. Well, because at first we thought it was his quest for vengeance was kind of over after he dropped the Don into the hamburger fire and literally turned the Meat
Yeah,
Mafia Don into a pile of hamburger.
But then we saw there was like 40 minutes left of the movie. So
Right. Well, yeah, because then the next thing we see is the prostitute going to the chicken shack and, getting fondued.
with the chicken,
bugs or dongs.
I'm still laughing at chicken.
Yeah, the wall of dongs. Yeah, it's so funny that that's his credit in the movie. Is so and so is the chicken pimp.
Hey, doing?
Hey, Bone.
What's up, Bone?
Um,
What kind of exterminator is he?
Dongs.
Scum from the streets.
Yeah, but if you had to pick bugs or dongs, it would be dongs.
Yeah, of the two. Of those
Yeah,
two
of
options, it would be
those
done.
two. Yeah, of those two options, it would be dongs.
Yeah. And so I wasn't sure because after, we see that first scene at the chicken shack, the prostitute basically picks up the exterminator. And I wasn't sure if he was going to, try to get information for her because we already saw that Detective Dalton, solicited a prostitute for the purpose of bringing her in for an interrogation, right?
Yeah.
But she was an actual lot lizard, that one.
Yeah,
to the
'cause
truck
she jumped up on a truck
We
right
saw,
before he got her.
saw a couple of them jump up onto trucks in that parking lot. There was quite
Yeah.
a few busy bees buzzing around.
Right. So that was another parallel between those two characters, right? Because Dalton interrogates, a prostitute, and then you see Exterminator is getting picked up. I think he actually was just trying to get some afternoon nookie, some afternoon delight, and it wasn't. And they rent the room by the half hour. It's $10 for a half hour, $10 for each additional half hour.
Yeah, $5 for clean sheets.
Yeah.
And he's
You want
like,
the sheets?
He's like, oh yeah, I
They
want the
slide
sheets.
it. They slide it through the window like it's the goddamn post office.
Yeah. They just give him a big wad of clean sheets, which was not even spelled right on the advertisement on the wall. Spelled
S-H-E-A.
S-H. Yeah,
S-H-E-A-T-F.
right. So they go to the room and she starts to take off her shirt and we see all these red marks, right? Because we know she got fondued. But he
Yeah.
gets triggered by this. And I called it. He's going to say, "Who did this to you?" And he goes, "Who did this to you?"
See, now was that luck? Was that luck or was that
That
studying?
was serendipity, my friend.
How did he? How?
He wasn't going looking for information. He just happened to find her.
How did he find that? And also, right? So since he's Mr. Right trying to keep the streets, right? How's he picking up a prostitute? How's he going into doing
Well,
that?
He's a veteran.
And to me, that's something else that I'm thinking is probably lost to editing. is why does he randomly all of a sudden go pick up a prostitute
How
that
did
just
he
so
throw it
happens to
there?
be the one that
Did
was
something? Were we
messed
talking
up?
over something where he was doing some intel and he was like, "I know this prostitute"?
No, I don't think so.
No,
Yes,
I don't know.
Bone.
That's weird.
Sheets.
Yes, that's exactly how it's spelled. I got a case of the sheets. I don't know. That was weird, man. That was weird how he just randomly. We must have been talking over something where we missed, and
Right.
he.
And he doesn't have sex with the prostitute after he sees the markings. He is immediately triggered, and he's on a new mission, right? And he finds out from her that, oh well, some of the clients like young boys, and he's like out the door with his green military vest on, looking like Taxi Driver. Going up to the chicken shack, like, hey, I got a deal for you. He's basically offering them some bulk price deal on teenage boys. That's how he
like,
gets in the door.
Him.
Yeah, to the chicken pimp.
When you notice by the end of the movie, he graduates from just the OD green like Vietnam jacket to the OD green pants as well.
Mm-hmm.
But also like, okay.
Oh.
All
Okay.
right. Well, no, that's all right.
Well, we skipped over the bullet factory scene where in between talking to the prostitute with the burns and going to the chicken shack,
Oh, okay.
he is
decides
he
to
is
level up.
yeah. We see an extended scene where it's a close up on a big old fat bullet. Was that a Magnum bullet, Han?
I would guess it was like a 357 Magnum. I don't think it was a 44 Magnum. I think it was a 357 Magnum.
Okay, you're a gun expert, but he's taking
I'm
a
not an
drill.
expert.
What's he saying?
44.
Yes,
I
I said that earlier.
Okay.
I don't think it was big enough to be a 44. I would say.
Well, we got a funny
357.
angle on. We're seeing it from the back of the audience. It's a little tough, but those bullets were definitely had some Magnum look to it.
Right, but this is basically the moment where you realize that this guy has snapped. Right, he's basically, a psycho who's suffering from PTSD, but he is methodically drilling holes in the tips of all of his bullets, pouring mercury, and then or Punisher, and then soldering metal caps back over the mercury. He
then
does
takes
this,
a file and smooths them back in.
Yeah.
Right. He does this 6 times for 6 bullets.
He's getting intricate. He's really going all out.
Right. And Raquel noticed that he made 6 bullets. So immediately we knew, he's going to use a revolver.
Yeah, a 6-shot revolver.
And
then where's that revolver?
And then what does he pull out? He pulls out his magical chest of Cold War weapons. That happens with every movie where someone has served at some point. But there's a character in every movie. They'll have a chest of something.
Yep. Just like John Wick has that case. His is buried under the concrete in the garage. But you always have that case of all those weapons. And I don't know how they get those weapons out of the military, because those are military-grade weapons. He had hand grenades in there.
No, but you have to, though, because it really... You have to, all right. I've never worked in Hollywood, ever. But I will say that, like, when it comes to any Hollywood movie involving anyone who's involved in a war, you really have to hammer in the fact that they were in a war and that they're war grizzled.
Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong with that one?
Well, I agree, and I also think that's why towards the end, the detective kind of got soft on him because he was also a Vietnam vet.
Yeah,
and remember, the detective also had his own little war chest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
he had.
Yes, he did.
Too. Yes,
and then the the detective is getting ready
He
to go and
two war chests in one movie.
yeah. And the detective is getting ready to go put in work, so he opens up his little war chest, and next thing you know, he's got on like the OD green, like
Loading up.
nom
He's loading
jacket.
up, too. I'm just saying,
Yep.
so that's a trope. That's a trope for these sorts of movies.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
it is.
But like Slasher said, that was the moment he went full Taxi Driver, and so he takes the revolver with his elaborate holster, and he shows up at the chicken shack with a fake offer, which they immediately fling open the door. Come on in, hey, 25 or 2 for 50. You know what? How can I get him?
I like how they open the little flat, and he's like, "Hey, I got some hot chicken." I think he says hot chicken, something
Yes!
about chicken. And they're like, "Oh, okay, let's just let you into this super illegal underage boy brothel."
Why not?
Right. Yeah, he offers them chicken, like he's selling them meat, and he does work at a meat packing plant.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So he's the meat
So
expert.
maybe that was part of the theme. I didn't even think about it, right?
Maybe
'Cause-
that's how he knows about the meat mafia.
Yeah. Right? Because he worked for the meat packing plant, which is run by the meat mafia.
Lord,
He takes
that's
out the Don.
Just they're unloading everything. Like him and dude from American Ninja. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
there's
because
there's probably some details we missed because we were talking over some stuff. I also have to say that.
they start out with cans of beer, cans of soda, and the next thing you know, he's got like shoulders of beef, like putting them in trucks.
Holy, in the fucking Rocky movies, working in the fucking butcher shop.
Right. But when the chicken pimp accepts the offer, he just says, "You're a really sick individual." You know that. And chicken pimp, he's wearing like a button-down shirt, wide open with no shirt underneath. He goes, "I'm just doing business here," and he says, "You know what? So am I."
And then he sets them on fire.
First of all, he like kicks him in the balls and then like kicks him in the face, and then sets him on fire. And then Danny DeVito comes out.
Yeah, low budget Danny DeVito runs out like, "What's going on?"
Right,
And
like he's wrapped in a towel or something.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go see what's going on."
But it's because we see Danny DeVito was very busy in the other room.
Right.
He was very busy.
He just goes in and shuts the door, right? Instead of leaving the building, which is now potentially on fire, he just goes in the room and shuts the door.
Well, we see later, fortunately, only the dude burned up. Somehow the building didn't catch on fire.
Right.
All right.
But
Well,
he
if there
shoots
was
him
a
with
bunch
one of those mercury.
Oh yeah, he does shoot him with one of those merc. Like I
See,
can't tell. I thought he like shot him in the dick or something. I couldn't tell.
The thing that bothers me about the mercury bullets is they do a whole scene of him making them.
But it's
there's
not
never
really
any talk. There's
right?
there's
not
never
really,
any talk about the mercury bullets other than we see him making them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not
He
really
just kills
any sort of,
people.
like,
He just kills people with them.
It's not any
And I
sort
didn't
of
even
brought into him making those bullets.
I didn't even count out all 6. You know, with all that ritual and time spent on him making them, you'd think that, there would be that each one would be its own scene.
A kill, right? You'd think he would have one per kill that he had to make, right?
Yeah.
And no, there was nothing to that. There was nothing to that at all.
Yeah.
It was just like it was just a scene to show you how hardcore he was. That's all it was. It didn't
I can only remember
serve anything.
I can only remember two people that he got with those 6 bullets.
He shot
Right.
Danny DeVito in the dick while he was graping that young boy. Because we forgot to get like Danny DeVito was like a U.S. senator or something, New Jersey senator,
New Jersey senator, yeah.
Jersey senator who was
Probably regulating Action Park.
going to, but like he's going to like
Action Park.
sexually abuse young boys at some what?
Right.
What the
Well, because in the room we see a young man who, in reality, is clearly over 18, but he's tied up. He's gagged with a rope in his mouth, and his each arm is tied up, and he's in like a full kneel position, you know, face down, and so it was strongly implied that the soldering iron was being used on him. Oh, got a bot.
I bought.
Whack the bot. Ah, Slasher, beat me to it. All right. And sure enough, you know, the exterminator, after he shoots the low budget Danny DeVito in the dick, he cuts the bonds on the kid, right,
Yep.
and takes the gag out. And oh, what's up, Space Lab?
Yo, Nate, what's good, brother?
Love
How
you
you
too,
doing?
man.
How you doing, man? Long time no see. We're talking about a weird ass '80s movie.
Right, but you know, he puts a towel back over the kid's you know, dignity, right? But then we see as the camera moves that the soldering iron is there, which I think we already assumed it was there in the room, turned on. But they showed it to us. They didn't show us it being used on the kid.
They got a little too much with the soldering iron shit.
I'm back.
Raquel's back.
Welcome back, Raquel.
I thought you
Sorry.
I thought you couldn't stand talking about this movie anymore for a second.
No, that wasn't it. My stomach didn't feel good for a minute
Oh.
there. But I'm back. I feel better now. Sorry I missed most of the review.
Oh, that's fine. We're still talking about it.
hmm We got up to the chicken pimp.
Yo, Nate, hit me up on Twitter. Nate, hit me up on Twitter if you want to watch a movie next week.
So the building doesn't burn down like I thought it would, but as is the typical trope, the next scene is the detective arriving at the crime scene at the chicken shack, where you know you have one body burned in the front lobby, and then they find the low budget Danny DeVito burnt to a crisp on top of a burned mattress.
I don't think that was really Danny DeVito, though.
No. It
No, it
was
wasn't.
we're
You're
just
just
calling
calling
him that. The senator. They find the New Jersey senator. He's burnt to a crisp on a mattress.
He looked like he could be Danny DeVito's stunt double, is what we're saying.
Yeah. The senator. The New Jersey senator.
Yeah, we find out he's a fucking New Jersey senator.
He's a bad man.
And that's and
Bad
that's
man.
that's when the CIA has to get involved, though.
Is that when they get involved?
I think that's when they start to get involved. Yes.
Well, let me think for a sec, because we do see a scene where one guy is talking to another guy behind a desk, and they're talking about how, yeah, we got to do something about this guy, and it's like, yeah, basically they want the exterminator taken out, and he's like, he's the one guy says to the guy, and they're both wearing three-piece suits. To the guy behind the desk, he's like, hey, do you think you could get law enforcement involved? He's like, yeah, sure. Right. So we know that there's corruption going on. And it's an office that overlooks the Statue of Liberty on the waterfront. So, you know, as Hansar pointed out, it's very expensive real estate. But
Yeah, we did
that's
get
our
a-
indication.
There was a lot of fancy shots in this, like even like the overhead sky shot.
Yeah, a helicopter shot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they spent a lot of budget on the beginning and on the actual what we know are in fact New
Those
York.
New York skyline shots, I did 1980s. Like, you know, I'm sure that was kind of pricey.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well,
also,
I think
first of all, if you're going to have a helicopter in your movie, that's going to cost you some money. Unless
Yeah.
you're going to CGI that helicopter.
yeah. Well, I think before the CIA even shows up is when it's right after he sees the charred corpse that he goes back. The detective goes back to his office and Electro cooks a hot dog with this
Yeah, I forgot
contraption that
about-
he rigged
I
up.
forgot about that.
Did we went this whole time without talking about him cooking that hot dog, dude? Holy shit!
Yeah, with the contraption that apparently always hangs over his desk. So apparently he really loves to electro cook hot dogs.
Right, and it's made out of cables and forks.
Yeah, hanging over his desk.
So he inserts a fork into each end of the hot dog, Yep, a fork, just like that. And then the ends of the forks are attached to electric cables that meet at the top, right? Which, he has connected to a source. So basically, once he plugs the second fork into the hot dog, I don't know how he doesn't shock his fingers, but
He
it
had a
uses
switch.
electricity.
He had a
Oh, okay.
switch on it. Yeah,
Oh,
he
okay.
had like one of those little clicky switches on it.
Yeah, he turns it on and it cooks his hot dog, right? So this is what we see immediately after the charred corpse of the New Jersey senator.
Yeah, and he has a jar of Golden's mustard in his desk,
Yep.
and a random unwrapped bun just like hanging out in the cabinet.
On the bookshelf.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the same time that he's doing this, right, we're still, thinking about the senator who's burnt up, and he's cooking this hot dog. He gets a call from his new girlfriend, the doctor from the hospital. And that's when they make plans to go out to the jazz in the park, right?
Okay. All right.
No, that's when they make plans to go bang in the nurse's sleeping room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Han.
While the exterminator comes in there and takes his buddy out.
So, Han, I was gonna say this. This is the second movie that I've done so far since the first week of January this year that hospital sex leads to death. Don't have sex in the hospital because someone's gonna end up dying from that.
Right. That's exactly what happened in New Year's Evil.
If you're not on call, you're gonna someone's gonna die. Whether it's you or a patient, whatever it's gonna happen. Don't have sex in the hospital.
Well, she was on call, but this thing. She invites him to an empty room,
and it was called before it was ever happened. We said the exterminator. Well, I say we. One of you all said the exterminator is going to come in there and do something, and she's not going to be out there, or the cop's not going to be out there to stop him. And that's when he goes and pulls the plug. Not only pulls the plug, cuts the cord with a knife.
Plug back in.
Yeah. And she's in there in the bed with the cop.
Right. What I thought was going to happen is he was going to take out another criminal at a location that the detective could have prevented, but he was going to miss it because he was banging the doctor. But what we got was not what we expected, because, like you said, while the detective was in there canoodling in the hospital.
Canoodling?
Yeah.
I think there was more than that.
The exterminator comes in, goes to Jefferson's room.
Oh my god.
Right. And he says, "Hey man, I just heard from the doctor that, I got your prognosis, implying that it's not good. He's not going to recover." And he says, "If you want me to turn this machine off, blink twice." And we see Jefferson's face, and he blinks once, and he blinks again. And we're like, "Oh shit." And so the exterminator, he unplugs the machine, and you hear the beep, and he takes his knife and he cuts the power cord.
And he
so they couldn't even try to plug it back in if they wanted to.
Right. And while you hear,
and poor Jefferson.
R.I.P. Jefferson.
Poor Jefferson was like seriously, they showed it in the beginning. It looked like there was a chunk of his spine or something that came out of him.
I'm pretty. As we said, I'm pretty sure he was
paralyzed.
Not that that's a death sentence. I mean, I know he was still on life support and he couldn't talk because he had the tubes and all that stuff. But that's not necessarily a death sentence. But he's like, I read your chart. Blink twice if you want me to cut these machines off.
Yep, and he did. And so
and
while
he goes and tells his wife,
while you hear the flat line, right, and then the alert goes off, the light outside the room, the exterminator walks out down the hall, and the lady doctor hears the alert. She said, "Oh no," and and Detective Dalton was like, "What is it?" And she's like, she realizes, that she was fucking around on the job. So she runs down the hall to the room.
She was actually She was also Darius. She was actually literally putting her clothes back on while she was running down the hall to the
Yeah,
like.
and yeah, he walks out in his
She was
his
half
wife beater.
naked. She was half naked, running like down the hall, putting her clothes on.
Right. His belt's open, his fly's down, and he's in his tank top.
And yeah,
And
he comes back too. He actually comes back too with his fucking fly open.
Right.
And his unbuckled.
Well, and he asks her, "Is that Jefferson's room?" And she says, "Yes." And she takes off down the hall. And when he hears that, he's like, he's starting to put the pieces together. He looks up, face to face with the exterminator, as the exterminator walks past him, makes eye contact, gets in the elevator, and the door closes. But before it does, he says, "Your fly's open."
Yeah. The other funny thing about that is they're supposedly sneaking to the nurse's sleeping room to bang, but they walk hand in hand.
Yeah.
Very obviously into the nurse's sleeping room.
Right. And the very next place the exterminator goes, and by the way, you can see the light bulb going off in Dalton's mind. But the exterminator goes right over to Jefferson's house and tells his wife what he's just done.
He tells her exactly what he's done.
Yeah. Said he was my best friend. It's what he wanted. And she is wailing and spazzing and
And
you know,
the
he's-
kid
he's-
comes downstairs too.
Yeah, and then the kids run up and they sit next to their mom, and she's, you know, just weeping and gnashing of teeth. And then when he goes to leave the apartment, she gives him a big old hug.
Yeah, everything's fine
Yep.
then.
Yeah.
She goes through
Go
all
on
the
about
steps
your
of
way.
grieving in like 5 minutes.
Pretty
Right.
damn quick. You're like, go
Right.
on about your way. It's fine.
She's like, "Oh, okay,
You wanted this.
appreciate it."
You blinked at you.
All right.
Wanted this.
Well, not like, you know, we don't have a home and 2 children, but if that's what he told you
I
he
know,
wanted by blinking his eyes.
Blinked at you twice. That's all that matters. And you told me that he blinked at you twice. I didn't actually get video footage of him blinking at you twice while you asked him this question. I just could take your word for it.
Okay. The next thing that happened after that, was it the like the Clockwork Orange scene where they commit the ultraviolence on the old lady carrying her groceries?
Yeah.
Or was it
I think-
the CIA?
I think it was the ultraviolet scene. I
Okay.
think.
There's a sweet old woman carrying her groceries in a paper bag, and she gets jumped by who?
By flamethrower guy who was
Yeah, the guy that he should
ghetto
have already burned.
ghouls.
Yeah, the guy. Well, and the guy he should have already burned up with the flamethrower.
Yeah, the guy that Slasher and Han were furious didn't get burned to a crisp at the beginning. It's the
I'm
same
not gonna
guy. He
lie.
let him go.
I'm
And
not
we didn't
gonna
know.
lie. Yes, I was furious that he was not burning. to death.
Yeah, and we're even more furious because then he
I'm so
attacked an old
furious
lady.
because I didn't get to see that goddamn flamethrower in action the whole movie. So,
Yeah, other than him threatening to use it on somebody, that was the only time we saw the flamethrower in the whole movie.
Right. And that's what happens when you let them go, right? That's the lesson from that. But so they assault the old lady, they jump her, knock her down, all of her groceries fall out, and they pick them up and they throw them. They don't seem to take her wallet or her purse that I recall.
Yeah,
And
he was
then-
emptying out the wallet,
Okay.
They-
Okay.
and they were carrying the money in the car.
Yeah, and they
Okay.
want to like.
Yeah, they did dump her purse out.
Okay.
they-
Yeah, I
You're
forgot that.
fired, Darius.
But he like,
That's what I have you for.
put her
Aw,
rain
sure.
cap on and was like being a dick. Like, you remember?
Yeah. Yeah. He took I thought it was just like a plastic bag that he was pretending was a babushka to mock her.
Yeah,
know,
that's
and-
who he did. That dude did that right before it switched the scene to the other guy who was emptying out her wallet.
Okay. And they're kicking her while she's down, and then they step on her spectacles. Crunch.
Yeah.
All right, but I'd say that kicking her in the face is a lot worse than stepping on their glasses. So.
Yeah, but you know, it's the
I mean, just
symbolism. of
Just as a human being, I would say
Basically, these guys are mega dicks, and they
I
get
don't-
back
I
in
don't-
that car.
I don't wear glasses, but I'd rather you step on my glasses than kick me in the face if I'm 2 years old. It's like,
I do wear glasses, and I would agree.
And that car, we remember from the beginning, it's like a cheap muscle car with like flames painted all over it. And we see it again here. The whole crew gets back into the car, all in the front seat for some reason. And
Oh,
they take
that's
off.
70s and 80s style of filming movies is where you had to have 3 people in the front seat of a car. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
On the bench seat.
That was
And
very
another member
70s.
of the crew pulls up on a motorcycle at the
No,
exact moment.
It's not a member of their crew. It's someone
Oh,
else.
no?
Completely
Okay.
different person.
That just makes
The
it.
guys they threatened, right? So then
Yeah.
Exterminator pulls up and decides, while that guy is tending to the old woman,
Oh, yeah.
Exterminator pulls a gun on the guy tending to the old woman and steals his motorcycle.
Yeah.
Everyone was having problems with that but me. Everyone, when we were watching
Yeah.
this movie, I understood why Exterminator did that. Let the guy know, like, I'm robbing you for your motorcycle, but tend to this old woman, and I'm going to take your motorcycle and go after these bad guys and kill them. Like,
And
that
the
was
helmet.
I think he did that for a good reason. I'm gonna say that. Everyone else
Yeah.
seemed to be questioning that.
The logic checks out, but someone is tending to the old woman. He's going to take that guy's motorcycle and the helmet. So he finally puts on the helmet that we see in all the posters and the movie trailers. Puts
And
on the black motorcycle
blow
helmet.
these motherfuckers away. He's there to blow these motherfuckers away.
Yeah. Chases him down on this tactically acquired motorcycle. And there's a chase. And everyone's still in the front seat, but he catches up to him. But he ends up wiping out, which I did not expect. He wipes out on the motorcycle and falls off into a pile of boxes, and the helmet falls off.
He goes off like a ramp or something. Bridge.
Yeah, something like that. So he wipes out, and then, as Moira said, you can't have a scene like this without taking out was it Moira? A newspaper stand?
Oh yeah, or a fruit stand.
Or fruit stand or a newspaper stand.
Or a newspaper stand. Yeah.
Right. So their car wipes out right through the newspaper stand. Newspapers go flying everywhere. And the Exterminator gets up. He leaves the bike and he leaves the helmet. And they come back around.
They pull around very quickly to come kill him. They come in position very quickly with the way they turned around the place.
Right. And I think I called that one. I said, yeah, he's going to take, I said, well, he hasn't used any more of those bullets unless he's going to shoot through the windshield of the car as they're coming directly at him.
Of course.
And that's exactly what happens. They're driving right at him. They're going to run him down. He pulls out his revolver, shoots right through the windshield, and takes the guy out. The driver, I believe, because the car flips out off of like a cliff.
He hit the driver.
An overpass.
Oh, yeah, an overpass. Thank you. Thank you, my urban friends. Yes, an overpass.
A cliff?
A cliff? Yeah. It's like some kind of cliff made of concrete with cars driving over it.
A mountaintop.
Yeah. Yeah, an urban mountaintop. And so the car goes over. So he shoots the driver. The car flies off of the ledge and flips upside down, right? But it doesn't explode. And one of you guys said, "Oh, he's gonna make it explode."
No, wait! It doesn't explode.
At first, it does.
And then you're like, "Why doesn't this explode?" And then boom! And then all of a sudden it explodes. And then you're like,
Well,
"Okay." And then you're like,
Hansar said he's gonna make it explode, and he points the mercury bullet gun at it, and he shoots the bottom of the car, and it explodes.
oh, "Okay, see, I missed that point of where he shot the gun on. He shot the gun on the car's way down. I missed that."
Yeah, it was after the car. It goes off the edge, and then it flips upside down when it crashes and hits the ground. And Han called it. He said he's gonna make it explode. And he shoots the bottom.
The
The
mercury.
fuel tank. Yep. Oh, we saw the sparks that those bullets were creating earlier. So he shoots the fuel tank and boom, huge explosion.
Yeah, super big explosion.
So the ghetto ghouls are gone. And I think that's when the CIA shows up to talk to Dalton.
First of all, he goes flying into the water or something. What is it? He's like, he's in the water.
Is that when he goes flying into the water? I remember he goes into the water at the end.
Yeah, he goes flying in the water at the end.
They thought he's dead because he got shot and he's like falling in the water.
Well,
Yeah,
that's at the very
Dalton
end.
Dalton gets at the very end. Dalton gets shot. Then as he goes to jump off the ship, he gets shot, and it seems like he's also dead. But then he's like hanging on to like a fucking packing crate or a door or something like Titanic.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he washes up ashore.
Right. Well, so when the CIA pulls up to talk to Dalton, that's continuing from the thread we saw in that office by the Statue of Liberty, where they're talking about taking out the Exterminator and using law enforcement to do it. CIA shows up and he says, "What is the CIA? Why is the CIA interested in this case? You know, this isn't your jurisdiction." And they basically give him some baloney reason. And as he picks up the payphone to make a phone call, have a good night, Nate. He says to the CIA agent, "Hey, you must have to take a shit because instead of coming out of your ass, it's coming out of your mouth."
Yeah, that was a good one.
Hi. Oh, hi, Bound.
Right, but by this time, the Dalton has figured out. Well, he put it together at the hospital, but he makes a phone call to his secretary and says like, "Hey, remember all those veterans that you were checking out to see if basically they were checking up on veterans because of the weapons used to see if try to figure out who the Exterminator was." He's like, "Was any of them in the 144th battalion with Jefferson?" And she goes, "Only one, Eastland." And he's still got his disco boots unzipped and his because he goes into the police station straight from the hospital, right? After having this revelation, and he's still, in his sex clothes. He's got like a hoodie and his tank top, his disco boots unzipped, and I think his fly's open again. And they look at him and he's like, "Fuck off. You're not wearing your 3-piece suit, fuck off." But yeah, so he puts it together. He has her check, and yes, Eastland was in the unit with Jefferson, and he immediately knows, right? So this is the moment where the detective that's been chasing him the whole movie figures out who he is and has to decide what he's going to do about it. And so I think Eastland calls him after that, right? Calls him on the phone.
Honestly, I don't remember every fucking detail of the movie. It's just like
the Exterminator calls him and he tells him to meet him down on the docks at a certain time.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm so more disappointed at no fucking blowtorch, flamethrower shit going on. I'm still heartbroken.
There's no more flamethrowers for the rest of the film.
Dude, I used this box on the shelf of every VHS store I would go to in my neighborhood and all the surrounding neighborhoods. Never did I reach up to pick this tape off the shelf to rent it. And I'm going to say I'm going to say I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, and on the box for the director's cut, I'm looking at the box art. It says director's cut includes newer or never before seen footage, right? So this is the more brutal version. It says, "If you're lying, I'll be back." And he's wearing looks like a leather jacket with the sleeves cut off.
Hey, you want to go ahead and bring it up. I'll show it.
Yeah, let me see. Let's see. Which tab is it? This tab. There we go. So
See, it still shows the fucking flamethrower, which pisses me.
He's holding the flamethrower. He's wearing a shirt with the sleeves ripped off, which I don't remember him wearing in the movie. The motorcycle helmet, which becomes iconic, that he just stole from some random guy. If you're lying, I'll be back. And this is, of course, many years before Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Where is that flamethrower, dude?
Right. And there's the Huey flying out of
Oh,
the
yeah, it is.
explosion in Vietnam.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yep.
Maybe we see the flamethrower in the director's cut.
All right,
But I wouldn't count on it.
so you know what we have to do, right? We have to wait till the Exterminator IP becomes public domain, right?
Oh, man. And remake it?
The 6 of us are going to sit down and write the script for the reboot of the Exterminator. Okay? Agreement, everyone? Put your hands in.
Yeah. All
Hut,
right.
hut,
I'm
hike.
done with that.
Hut, hut,
I'm
hike.
in.
And we will
Yeah,
make
I agree.
we will expose Hollywood for the hack frauds they are. And instead of what they do, what they do now is make great franchises into shit. We're gonna make a shit franchise into gold. Okay.
Right. Well, so yeah, I'm down with that. So you guys were setting up that final scene, though, right? So Dalton goes down to the docks to meet up with the Exterminator. And I think he goes out on a boat.
Yeah, it's like a ship, and like an old Navy ship that they randomly are on for some reason.
Yeah, like there was like an aircraft carrier there for some reason. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
something like that. And the
going on?
Exterminator. So
What?
Dalton walks out onto like the bow of the ship, and the Exterminator comes out behind him, holding his gun. And
No, the Exterminator walked out of the ship and let Dalton know that he was there, and then walked back into the ship.
oh, okay.
Hold up.
And he comes out, and he's got the revolver, and he shoots real close to Dalton, but he doesn't shoot Dalton. He shoots past him, and the third Mercury bullet, in my recollection, it hits some part of the ship, and sparks fly out. And the Exterminator says, like, is like, that's what it feels like to be afraid
Be a victim.
and be a victim. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good cookies. It's like, that's what it feels like to be a victim, right? And like making a point to the detective. And then I don't remember any more conversation until the next thing happens. Am I missing something?
I don't know. I just remember he ends up washing up ashore. I was like,
Well,
after everything
Dalton
that
gets shot, right?
happened-
So
he gets
the
shot
Exterminator
too.
doesn't shoot Dalton, but Dalton gets shot. You see, he gets shot in the
No.
chest.
But doesn't Exterminator get shot and thrown
Well,
off?
he is like trying to help her save Dalton, and Dalton's like, "No, go on, I'll
Get out of
cover
here."
you," or something. Yeah, something like that. And that's when the
You gotta
Exterminator
get out of here.
the Exterminator goes to go over the side, and then the Exterminator gets shot as he falls in the water or gets ready to fall in the water, and then it makes you wonder, oh, the Exterminator's dead too. But
Right. And then you hear a line, but before that, you hear a line from the sniper who says, you know, Washington is going to be
yes,
happy.
Right. Okay. That's right. That's right. There we go. The random CIA sniper that was there.
Right. So that's how we know that it was the CIA that took them both out, because he says Washington's going to be pleased. So we don't really even see his face. We just see him, like a silhouette with the gun. And we see them both get shot. Dalton dies on the boat. The Exterminator gets shot in the chest, falls off into the water. And I swear I wanted to ask you guys, who thinks that he has a bulletproof vest on, right? Because that's how
Yeah, and he
that's how
washes
these
and he washes up. And
yeah, and his shirt or jacket just so happens to be open.
right. Well,
And
it's
you
a
can
it's a
see it says
it's
like
a really
US
wide
Army
shot.
fucking flak chest,
Yeah, well-
flak jacket or whatever on it.
Yeah, he washes up amidst a whole bunch of debris on the shore, right? And it's a wide shot from overhead, and he's really small in the frame. He tears open his shirt, and underneath is all white, and the words, was it like flak jacket or
Yeah,
flak
U.S.
vest?
Army, U.S. Army.
I couldn't
flak
remember
jacket.
what it said, but it had words
Right.
on it. I do remember.
Right.
that.
Yeah, it had the words of what describing what it was, so we knew from far away exactly what it was. And
It might as well
and
have said bulletproof vest. It might as
Right.
well just
exactly. And he's like, he's like triumphant, right? And that's when the movie ends. Right there, right when he washes up. Like
And then
the
they go
CIA took out Dalton. They tried to kill him. He's not dead.
and then
The
it
end.
goes back to the easy listening music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Willie Nelson, according to Han.
Well, I mean,
That
it said
outro
the
song.
the outro song sounded to be a lot like Willie Nelson.
Right. Yeah, it did. No, it absolutely did. And I'm thinking, well, that's an odd ending. It just ends right there. Well, I found out that this movie was shot with two endings. One where the exterminator dies and one where he survives. So the ending that we saw was the one where he survives. We didn't see the ending where the CIA kills him. And I don't know the difference. Basically, I don't know if they showed both endings in the theaters or if one is the director's cut ending. All I know is that there were two endings. And some people have seen one and some people have seen the other. So it has two endings. But that's the end.
Yeah, that's the end
They
of the
don't
movie.
really wrap anything up. It
Yeah.
just kind of ends.
No, they don't. Although there is a sequel. There is a sequel. I don't know if I'd want to venture into that territory quite yet, but
1984. And that poster also, or maybe I should share it. You'll notice something in the
don't even tell me there's a guy with a motorcycle helmet and a fucking flamethrower in this one.
Yeah, really. Ah, a fucking flamethrower.
There better
looks like
be
a hazmat suit.
there better be a flamethrower in this fucking movie.
In The Exterminator, he made the streets of New York safe. All has been quiet until now.
Nah, man. If there's no flamethrower, there's no buy. Sorry.
I mean, he's got it right on the cover. And look, there's like a cable connected to the flamethrower, and he's wearing like a hazmat suit with the sleeves cut off.
I mean, it looks awesome, right? If you want this guy running around the whole movie, right? Like when you see the poster, am I hallucinating? Like, I don't know.
From the first movie, I'm not believing that.
Yeah, I agree. This is something I would have. You know what? I made the mistake of not watching a preview of the first one. That's
Yeah,
what
but
it
I
is.
did, and it made it look awesome. And
Okay,
what?
but you didn't see a guy running around in a motorcycle helmet or setting people on fire with a flamethrower, right?
No, but everything else made it look like it was going to be really good, and great,
Okay.
and blowing shit up. And
Here, according
sure.
to Wikipedia, the sequel opens with a robbery of a liquor store by a group of well-armed young men as an unseen man listens to a police scanner.
Don't spoil part 2 already.
No, this is just the opening. This is like the hook, right? The tease to get you interested when the movie begins.
All right, wait, Darius, you explain this. I'll be right back in a second.
All right. That man wearing a welding mask suddenly appears behind the store as the men flee, incinerating two of them with a flamethrower. Ooh, that's all I need to hear.
Sold.
Sold. That is all I need to hear.
If there's not a flamethrower in that movie, then we need to find the director or whatever and set him on fire, him or her on fire, whoever directed the second one.
I don't know. I probably would have asked for a refund.
Let me check the rating on IMDb. The Exterminator received 5.7 out of 10. And let's see, what about Exterminator 2? What do you want to guess? Exterminator 2.
4 point something, probably.
6.
6 out of 10.
Yeah. It's got a flamethrower.
Moira? No?
Oh, you
Sorry,
said
I saw a
you said
really stupid
Exterminator.
tweet.
Did you?
What?
Oh, you said Exterminator 2 for the second one.
Yeah, because Exterminator 1 got a 5.7 out of 10.
Oh,
Oh,
yes,
boy.
I would say 6 point something. I thought you were asking about the first one. I'm sorry.
So you think the sequel got a better rating than the first one?
Well, if there was a
Almost
flamethrower,
never happens.
if there was really a flamethrower, then yeah, but it probably got like a 4 point something actually.
Raquel, what do you think? No?
Cal, you gotta put
All right.
on someone else's screen for a minute.
All right. Hans said 4 point something. Carol's Cookies said 6. So if that was a single answer, 4.6, you'd be very, very close. It's 4.5 out of 10.
Okay.
So not as good as the first one.
Oh, well.
Although the blurb, according to IMDb, for part 2 is the flamethrower wielding vigilante John Eastland returns to rid New York of a drug lord and his gang. Right. So it sounds like they got feedback from the audience who wanted to see more flamethrower and
Yeah,
were
and actually
blue balled.
see the
Well, Cal,
flamethrower in use, other than scaring one person.
Right. The feedback said, we want more flamethrower. We were promised flamethrower, and we didn't get enough flamethrower. And if you're going to make another one, you better give us some flamethrower.
Well, even in the scene where he actually sets somebody on fire, he doesn't use a flamethrower. That would have been the perfect scene for a flamethrower when he cooks the guy at the fucking chicken shack.
Right. Right, exactly. And so I think, yeah, from the art, you know, to the title, the Exterminator, the implication is that he's going to, like a bug exterminator, take someone out with a flamethrower, which is shaped very much like an exterminator's gas gun, right?
Right.
It's almost like a promise, you know, that we're promised to get somebody cooked with a flamethrower.
Oh my.
And we do see someone get cooked, but not by the flamethrower. It's just a can of
Yeah.
gas and a pack of matches.
Yeah, which is totally waste of a flamethrower when he had one with the one guy and doesn't use it when he actually burns somebody alive. That would have been the perfect thing to come in there with the flamethrower, cook the one guy, go after low budget Danny DeVito, and like burn his dick off or whatever it was he was going to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Bone asked the question, did he deserve to live or die in the end? That is a good question, but I don't think that's a question that this subgenre can really answer, because the whole point of these extreme justice films is the idea of the vigilante, you know, and, you know, the corruption of law enforcement, or the, what do you call it? The impotence of law enforcement to really do what needs to be done on the scale that it needs to be done. And that sometimes in order to get rid of the criminals, you need the vigilante, right? But if you allow the vigilante, are you as bad as the criminals, right? If you are a vigilante, are you just as bad as the criminals? I mean, this is a theme we've seen in all of the movies we mentioned earlier, from Dirty Harry and Death Wish to The Punisher to the Boondock Saints. You know, all of these movies basically revolve around that moral dilemma. Would you agree?
Yeah, and it's kind of up to personal opinion,
Right?
of what you personally think.
Right. And Boondock Saints worked that, what you just said, into the credits, because basically the credits of Boondock Saints play over more scenes. And it's a reporter going around to people on the street and asking the public whether they thought that the Saints were good or bad, right? Do you think the Saints are good? Yeah, they're cleaning up the streets. Other people say, no, you can't do that. You can't just go outside the law and kill people, even if they are criminals. And everyone is split in the public. So
Yeah.
it's almost meta in that movie
Yeah,
where,
it's right at the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody sticks around for that part.
well, I know. I mean, I always did. I watched that movie like 50 times, and I always
No,
stick
I'm
around
just
for that.
I'm reminding people. Sometimes you gotta stay past the credits to see what's there.
Right. Well, that in that movie it plays during the credits, but it basically it almost gets meta. It gets about as meta as you really should get in a movie, where yeah, it takes the moral dilemma of the film and the fact that people are going to watch this, they'll enjoy it, but they may disagree about whether or not what they did was right, and it turns it on the public, right? So it's like it turns the camera around to the audience. You know, in the movie, they're all watching it on the news. We just watched it in a film, but that's the thing. Even those of us who watch the film and enjoy it will still disagree about whether what they did was right or wrong. So I think that the entire subgenre is built around that moral dilemma, you know, of
Yeah.
extreme justice. I mean, that's the whole thing about the Punisher. Like Slasher was bringing up the Punisher, which is a great point because that's the dilemma of the Punisher. And that's how he's been used in the comics, even in the Netflix series, like Daredevil and then the Punisher series, right? That's why other superheroes butt heads with the Punisher, but the Punisher takes out villains.
And sometimes those heroes that will get into scraps with the Punisher will end up eventually teaming up with the Punisher to take on actual super villains. All right, there's plenty of times in the comic books where Daredevil has gone one-on-one with the Punisher, and Daredevil is always beating the shit out of the Punisher. And then
Right.
then there's certain points where Daredevil and Punisher have to team up to take out someone else, shit like that.
Right. Because I remember in the Netflix series, Daredevil's already dealing with the moral dilemma, you know, because he's a very devout Catholic. He's dealing with the moral dilemma of going outside the law, of, you know, dealing out violence against these criminals directly. And then while he's dealing with his moral dilemma, in comes the Punisher, who's just taking him out, right? Boom, boom, boom. And so it also reframes his own moral dilemma, which I thought was really well executed in that series.
I didn't get to watch too much of Daredevil, but from what I watched of it, I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, I think it's the best like Marvel series ever made. But what's up, Jason? But while you were gone, I was answering Bone's question, right? Because what I accidentally pulled up a bone emoji instead of a taco.
That's
Bone.
why I ran out of the room for a second. I didn't mean to keep everyone hot here.
Well,
Sorry.
yeah, I was answering Bone's question while you were out. His question was, did he deserve to die or live or die in the end?
I don't know. I see.
Right. Well, that was my answer was that's the whole moral dilemma that
I don't know.
these movies revolve around.
Like, when you think about it, did the Exterminator really exterminate anyone that wasn't worth extermination?
Well, but that's it right there. How do you decide who deserves extermination, right?
I guess I'm going in vigilante mode by saying that right there.
Right, because we have a system of law and law enforcement that's designed to prosecute criminals appropriately, but then it's limited.
As a movie viewer.
Yeah. Right, but that's the thing. These movies, they play into our sense of justice, our sense of, I guess, also our sense of bloodlust. But like, yeah, we want to see these criminals taken out.
Yeah, of course you're gonna say bloodlust. These were bloodlust movies. How many?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Whether there was graphic violence or not, it was just sometimes like the implication of someone going, okay, everyone likes to act like Death Wish was such a violent movie. There really wasn't much bloodiness in Death Wish. The very first Death Wish movie, everyone thinks that Paul Kersey was a Rambo character. Paul Kersey was not a Rambo character.
No.
Later, the more the movies went on with Death Wish was when they made Paul Kersey a Rambo character.
But even Rambo didn't start out as a Rambo character. He was just a veteran with PTSD.
Yeah. Who just wanted to visit his non-friend. He wanted to
Yeah.
visit his mom. That's all he wanted
Right.
to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that prick Brian Dennehy.
Hey, if you think about the Die Hard franchise, John McClane didn't start out as like a Rambo character. In fact, that was kind of the whole point in the first Die Hard, is that he was not Rambo, right? He was just an ordinary cop who got put in an unusual situation, and he had to rise to the occasion, right? And then by the time you get to like number 5, he's like dangling off a helicopter, flying through a plate glass window, and he's like a superhuman.
See, Darius, I don't know if I'd ever drop this bomb on you right here. I've never seen a Die Hard in its entirety past the first one. I've never, other than Die Hard 1, numerous times, I've never sat through another Die Hard movie. I've seen
3 is good. I really like number 3.
I've seen bits and pieces.
Yeah, 3 is one of my favorite. It's probably my second favorite after number 1. Die Hard with a Vengeance.
It's
Very good in my opinion.
Kind of because I also never cared to. So
yeah,
I'd also be.
But that's not like a moral dilemma movie. It's that's just a a suspense movie, action suspense. But as far as a character not being Rambo, and then over the course of the series becoming more like Rambo, people think of him as like an action star. It's just like you described, right? Like Paul Kersey was not a Rambo. And even Rambo wasn't a Rambo until he was.
Until the Cold War.
Until the government needed him, to take out the Soviets in part 2. And he's got to go, rescue the soldiers and stuff. But yeah, I mean, this movie, it had a lot of tropes, a lot of familiar tropes for this type of movie. And
I'm also going over 2 hours talking about this fucking movie, so I guess.
We got through the whole movie, right?
Yeah, I know.
And Bone asked the all important question, right? Bone said, "Did he deserve to live or die?" Right?
I'd say I'll give him a thumbs up in the Coliseum. If I was Caesar in the Coliseum, yeah, I'll give him. A thumbs up.
Yeah, I say he should live.
Yeah, I'll give him a thumbs up.
That's my personal opinion.
I would say live. Yeah, he deserved to live, even if he had to go to prison. I still think
he was a righteous fella.
Yeah, dude, he was definitely a psychopath in the movie, but it was his response.
Yeah, sorry, Darius, he was a psychopath, but he's a psychopath you would want on your side.
Yeah, exactly.
He's that sort of psychopath. He's not a psychopath having a grudge against you.
Right, I would want him on my side.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There are some
if I was the guy that he saved, I think I would probably not want him to go to prison.
There are some crazy people around me that like I was like, okay, I don't ever want to fucking disturb this guy.
Like if that was my mom that get knocked down and beat up for her groceries.
Oh, definitely. Exterminator, thank you. I'd be like, thank you, Mr. Exterminator.
Yeah, I'd give him 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd be like, call me next time. I'll help you out.
All
right.
right.
Man in Detroit.
Wrap this up. Gary, did you like the movie?
It was more familiar than I expected because I've seen a lot of extreme justice films before, right? But it's something I like. I like vigilante films. Is it ultimately necessary in a world where we have Death Wish, Dirty Harry, Boondock Saints, The Punisher? Probably not. Oh, Taxi Driver? Probably not. It worked. Like Hansar said a bunch of times, there were some scenes missing that we probably needed, but it did a couple things that we didn't expect, like the scene where he takes his best friend off of life support and Kevorkian's him. That's not. Yeah, that's not something that I think I've ever seen in this kind of movie before. So that was cool. I think that it justifies its own existence, but it's not better than any of the other movies that we mentioned.
You say it has rewatchability. Would you watch this again?
No.
No.
I kind of agree.
Yeah, I would not. I don't ever need to watch it again. Bone says Joker. Yes, that's another good one. But Joker also borrows from Taxi Driver.
than a couple of other movies.
Right. Yes, but as far as the tropes of the vigilante film, Yeah.
Han, what did you think of this movie? Your overall, like,
I liked the movie. I thought the editing was horrible. I hated how it started as strong as it did, and then to me, as far as like, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but like as far as gore and violence, it kind of went
Lack-
downhill
Yeah,
horribly from there. The editing, yeah,
Weird.
the editing was horrible. There was too many missing things that I think would have added to the film and would have explained more things. Not even thinking about, the violent aspect, all the cut scenes on the violence. Okay, well that's fine. If you didn't start with cutting a dude's head off, that would be fine.
Exactly. They shot their
If they hadn't
load.
started, if they had just,
Shot their
if they had
load
done a
too early. They shot their load with the gore too early.
if they had started with one of his buddies getting killed, but you didn't see it as violently and gruesome as you did, then you wouldn't have expected that from the rest of the movie. So the rest of the cutaway, oh, bad stuff's going on, we're going to cut away, but you know what happened. That would have made more sense. And there was just too many holes in the movie as far as editing. All in all, I mean, I enjoyed watching the movie just because I'd never seen it. Would I watch it again? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't feel like I wasted an hour, 40-something minutes, 2 hours, whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
I don't.
You know what?
I
Even
don't feel like I wasted that part of my life watching it. Like you watch some movies and you're like, I can't get that 2 hours back.
Yeah, Han, even I'll let you know. Even though like I because not other than Frogs, these last couple movies, I haven't seen these movies, but I saw Frogs like fucking years ago, like maybe almost like 10 years ago. The movie we did last week, but this one I'd never seen before, so I'm like kind of picking these movies that I'm expecting to be shit. And
would you describe these movies as campy?
usually on the mark. This one wasn't campy. This one wasn't campy. This one was I don't know what the fuck they were going for.
If the edit, I don't even mean the gore was better. If the editing was better, I would like to see the director's cut, and that would be the only way I would watch it again. Is hopefully the director's cut would make more sense.
Oh, you mean put a couple more puzzle pieces together?
Yeah, because there was too many cuts to like random shit that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
What if you found out the director's cut is the version we just saw?
Then I would be very upset, and I would say it's horrible. But yeah, would I watch again? No. Did I enjoy it? I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it. I'd never seen it before. I enjoyed it. I mean, I would probably get score wise. I would probably give it a 5, just because it was still enjoyable. And
a 5 out of
10.
Out of how many?
A 5 out of 10. Just because I'd never seen it before. It was entertaining. It started with action right away, which is always interesting if you're going to watch an action movie. And
you would
I still
right?
love.
You would think.
What was that?
You would think, but
well,
one.
But there's a lot of action movies that start very slow, then they get into the action. This one was like, I mean, the credits hadn't even hardly ended, and a dude got his head lopped off. So, I mean, this one definitely jumped in with both feet as far as the action.
That dude's head. That dude lost his head before the credits even started. Actually.
Oh, that's right. It did, didn't it?
He got like a production company, and then we went into Vietnam.
And and this is just me personally. I still love to watch old movies like this for, as Darius was saying, or you Slasher was saying, I forget who, for the campiness of it. The old school feel and the old school,
I wouldn't say
scenery.
I wouldn't say this was a campy movie though.
I think the Chicken Shack was campy.
Yeah.
If not as campy as the Frog Mafia in last week's movie.
But yeah, that's my basic outlook on it.
But Raquel, from from what you could look at of this movie, from what you could stand of this movie, your overall.
Somewhat grisly, and there was like a few plot holes in it, but otherwise it was somewhat good.
Really? You would say? Do you say it has rewatchability? Would you ever attempt to watch?
No, I would say first watch, and that's it.
Was it
Just
too
to
violent for you?
Yeah, I wouldn't watch it again, quite honestly.
Was it too violent for your tastes, your personal tastes?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can't take gruesome movies at all, like even if it's not like straight up like chunks of meat flying everywhere and blood flying everywhere, like if it's implied violence, would you say that's enough for you sometimes?
Getting the guy's head lopped off, that was a bit much.
Yeah, but that was the most gruesome part.
Right.
There was nothing really else gruesome after that.
Not quite, I guess.
Well, I mean, there was implied gruesome things, but you
I'd
didn't
say
really
that-
see
I'd
them
say that-
after
What
that.
would be the next? All right, the next most gruesome implied thing would be the hamburger scene, right?
Yeah,
The hamburger grinder.
yeah, that. Well, no, the dog, and then the hamburger,
Yeah.
because he leaves them hanging over the meat grinder, then
But he
goes and
still
does.
drops them in the hamburger grinder when he comes back. He still does do that.
Yeah, but he does the dog before that, so I would say the dog, then the hamburger grinder.
Yeah, they also do that back to back too. So
Yeah.
I guess that's pretty fucked up. But all right, Carol, you still here? Carol,
Yep.
your apartment's not filled up with water yet.
No, I did. I'm good. Based off of the poster and the trailer, it fell a little short.
You felt duped.
Yeah.
More flamethrower.
I'm gonna say my favorite part would be the credits with the chicken pip.
I was in a movie one time. Oh, really? Yeah. If you look at the credits, that's my name. I was the chicken pimp.
Look at me on IMDb, everybody.
Yeah, I'm the chicken pimp.
I was the chicken pimp.
I
So
was
his business card.
in the Exterminator.
Yeah, I
Battle.
probably would not watch it again. Probably would not recommend it to anybody.
Same.
But
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't.
it was a movie.
Yeah.
It was a movie.
All right, when me and Darius were done watching New Year's Evil, right? I was like, well, that was a movie.
Definitely a movie.
Yep. It was written. There's actors in it, and it was filmed. It was filmed, and money put behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a movie.
With no rewatchability.
Yeah, no, not really.
I already know what Moira's gonna say. Moira's gonna say, "You picked another shitty movie." Moira,
You there, Moira?
Rewatching it.
Or she may say nothing.
or she might be getting snacks.
Man.
I'm gonna wrap this up. So I'll say,
Wait. Before you wrap it up, I have to say one thing about the sequel.
oh no.
Right. So while you were away from keyboard for a moment, I checked the ratings, and Exterminator got 5.7 out of 10 on IMDb. Exterminator 2 got 4.5 out of 10 on IMDb. However, the tagline for the movie is the flamethrower wielding vigilante John Eastland returns to rid New York City of a drug lord and his gang. So it sounds to me like they did
unless he
Market research.
unless he is wielding the flamethrower, they should not even bother calling him that sequel title in the synopsis.
It says the flamethrower
Bullshit.
flamethrower wielding vigilante returns.
But he wasn't a flamethrower wielding vigilante in the first
Not-
one.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
that's what they are missing.
He was a
So it sounds
flamethrower.
like
He's a flamethrower threatening vigilante.
yeah. Sounds like they got some feedback. So you're not the only one. You and Hansa are not the only two people gravely disappointed about the lack of flamethrower action.
Well, now I hear Moira's back. Moira,
I didn't do it.
what'd you think? What'd you think of this hot steaming garbage?
Oh man, I only saw bits of it, but yikes! It's definitely not my favorite.
So 0 rewatchability.
Oh,
Of
yeah,
course,
0.
of course. I would expect nothing less from Moira, but we also all of us agree that we would watch this again. So there you go. I picked the right bad movie.
Yeah, you
Good job,
did. You have a knack
High
for
five.
that.
Right? You've
So-
made it in art form.
Hashtag not
They
porn.
should hire. They should hire you for Mystery Science Theater 3000.
I'm trying to make it an art form. It's like people don't know. Darius understands what I'm doing.
I get it.
I don't know if anyone else gets it. Han might get it. Han might get what I'm doing here, but
The title of the series is Viewer Advisory, and the graphic says Viewer Advisory, bad movie.
Yeah.
so there you go. So like the total of 6 people that movie came through, and then all right, Bone, Darius again, Jason Lee Tucker, Bone again.
George Lucas in the chat.
George Lucas.
Oh, George
He's
Lucas.
in-
Oh, yeah, I didn't even see him.
Yeah, George Lucas. The troll, George Lucas.
I'll get it too.
Nate. Nate said he might come through for next week. Fuck this Russian bot. Whatever the fuck this guy is.
Oh, you already got that bot.
Racer. Optic Racer is another one. Optic Racer, I haven't come through too much. But I only stream once a week now.
Good night, Bone.
Good night, Bone.
Good night, Bone.
Good night, Bone.
Lots
So,
of love.
I'll wrap this mofo up. There you go, Moira. Take us on out.
Oh, what? I am so bad for that. All right. We love you all. Oh, am I supposed to talk about myself or just tell everybody I love them?
Whatever you want.
What?
Yeah.
All right. You know where my channel's at. Everybody in this chat knows me. So I love you all. And
Okay.
I'm sure everybody else loves you, and they'll tell you they love you too.
Meow.
Meow.
And bada bing, bada boom. Raquel.
Before we end, I think Jedi Bill is doing a live stream right now, so if you want to go over there and raid, go check Bill out.
Yes. I feel Viking enough for a raid.
Mm-hmm. And today's my birthday, so happy birthday to me.
Oh, it is Thursday. That's
How
true.
did you not say that?
Oh, happy birthday, Raquel.
Birthday. How did
Thank
not
you.
say-
Happy birthday.
Congratulations on
Birthday
another.
hugs.
You made another successful trip around the sun.
Yes.
Yep. And I will be doing Funhouse Shenanigans / birthday stream later on today. I would say like around 9:30 p.m. Eastern time.
By the way, what'd you think of the Karate Kid? You didn't like it?
Raquel.
What? I thought that was a question to somebody else.
That was a question to you.
Yeah, you didn't watch Party of the Karate Kid.
I didn't do it yet, but
Oh,
yeah, maybe sometime this week I will.
okay. Sorry. I thought you ended up putting it. I thought you put it up. Sorry.
It's okay. That's pretty much it.
Deidre. Sorry, my daughter.
Okay.
I'll look at the spoon. I don't have anything going on, but I just celebrated my YouTube birthday 1 year. So
Oh, happy YouTube birthday.
Oh,
Happy YouTube birthday.
a very, very on birthday to you. Yes, you.
Indeed.
to me,
Yes, you.
Hello, Fenrir. How you
Hey,
doing,
Fenrir.
Hello.
Sorry, Fenrir.
Yeah.
You showed up as
That's it.
right now. No, that's it.
yeah, I don't have anything going on right now, really,
Oh.
that I'm ready to talk about or promote. So
Okay. I got you.
we're good. Cool. Had fun though.
Oh, thank you for coming through. Sorry. Thank you for coming through.
You can find me on my channel youtube.com/Honstar. I had a lot of stuff going on towards the end of last year. I'm going to start kicking my live streams off again, hopefully soon. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at
Right there.
Honstar YT.
I enjoyed being here, enjoyed watching the movie, even though there should have been actual flamethrower action in the movie. But other than that, it was a decent movie.
Oh, thanks for coming through, man. As always.
I enjoyed hanging out with everybody,
Mhm.
I
as always.
I do too. Thanks everyone for coming through. And the guy who wants to actually sit here and legit watch these shitty movies with me every week.
Yeah, well, I enjoy it. I look forward to it every week. Thank you for making me a part of it.
Of course, man. Of course.
You know, you've been there since I started on YouTube, and you all know me. I'm Darius Munchausen. Don't worry about it if you can't pronounce it. I do a weekly live stream, most of the time Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And but you never know. I like to show up for my friends' live streams when I can, and sometimes I do a random extra show. But yeah, that's this is cool. I'm glad we got so many people this week.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sorry. I legit have fun watching shitty movies. So
The shittier, the better.
especially when you have a group of people to make fun of. I'm sorry.
I like.
What if we watch a movie called The Hot Atlanta Strangler?
There was the Atlanta child murders.
Oh,
There's probably a documentary about that we could watch.
All right, no, I'm good.
We can
No
write
thanks.
the Atlanta
I'm
slasher.
good at. I'm good on watching child strangling movies.
Atlanta.
Shut up, Carol.
All right, I'm gonna wrap this up. I just also wanted to say, we lost another person today in well, the YouTube community that I knew. Nancy V Star. I I had a lot of fun hanging out with her, talking to her on streams like a year ago. Like where I was actually regularly jumping onto people's streams and not once or twice a month. Um, I so far JJ her. I don't know. Shit gets pretty depressing, and it kind of makes you want to drift away from everything a little bit when when people around you start people you talk to around you start dying. I don't know, but I'm gonna try to not let that happen to me. So,
You won't let that happen to you.
oh, thank you. So, sorry to go out on that depressing note right there, but
It's
thanks everyone. Have a good night. Everyone
Yeah,
else.
everybody.
Good
Good night,
night.
everybody.
Bye. Hugs and kisses.